Good evening. How are you guys doing? What is going on? Okay, you guys. I was actually thinking about doing a because this is gonna be a longer video. I was actually thinking about doing a call in at a different time. Okay. Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. I just blocked somebody, y'all. And I don't know how to unblock them. Because this video is gonna be pretty long. How do I unblock somebody? And then they just disappeared. I hate it when I do that. I just accidentally blocked somebody. Well, my bad. It was not on purpose. Okay, so we are going to get into tonight's video, but first let me go ahead and play my intro. I plan to personally do a healing circle regarding this topic. So, yeah. So let me play my intro, but I won't do a call in tonight because this video is way too long. We'll be here for like 5 hours, 6 hours, 7 hours, 8 hours, 24 hours. Okay. Where's my intro? Okay, let's get into my intro and then I'll be back. Hey boos, in this video, I give commentary based on my opinion. Nothing is to be taken as factual. We are just here to have conversation. We don't expose and we don't sip tea on this channel. I'm giving you real talk straight, no chaser. Let's see if you can handle it. Cause I'm a boss.
I haven't done anything for you to be proud of.
Of course you have. You are marrying a man who can support you.
Alrighty, we are back. I'm excited. I hope y'all are excited because this girl, she spoke nothing but the truth and she spoke for us all. And I appreciate her bravery. She articulated herself so well. So, this video actually went viral a few, like 3 weeks ago. And I was traveling and I couldn't talk about it, but I was really excited to talk about it. But this video went viral. It's from Lifeline Church, and they are located right out of Chicago. Hey, Chicago. And this pastor, his name is Pastor Reggie. He does a lot of community talks. And with his community talks, he likes to do like family town hall meetings and things like that with his church, which I find to be such a brilliant idea, by the way. And you can tell he allows, this is one thing that I've noticed about his church is that he actually allows the young adults and the teens. It is an actual community. Like children can come and talk to him, young adults can come and talk to him, but then also the elders as well. And I think that's the biggest disconnect within churches today. Because the reason I left the church was another reason that I left the church was because I noticed that in certain churches, They like to keep a circle of people around, and it's the same people around. And no one is open to inviting new people or younger people or young adults or young teens into certain spaces when it comes to these leadership groups or roles. And that was the biggest downfall of my church personally, was there was too many, it was too much politics, and it just really turned me off and rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, damn, there's politics in church, there's politics outside of church, there's politics at school, there's politics when you play in the sport. It's like everywhere you turn, you got to play this political game. And I felt like church was just that space where it should be safe and it should be welcoming to everyone, and also their ideas and perspectives to ensure that the church continues to grow, right? No, that's not the case in all churches. So that was another reason why I left the church, was because I didn't feel like it was a fostered place for growth and for the youth. And this church seems to invite young teens and young adults to come in, and they even have their own young adult ministry. It's called Crave. And it just seems like they have more creative power within their church, which is not the case for a lot of young adults or young teens in churches today. So Pastor Reggie out of Chicago, he does these community talks where it's like a family town hall meeting where children, teens, and just the culture can come together and have an open conversation about just, being on the same page and coming to an understanding, which is something that I never got when I was a kid. So I like what he's doing. I think this is a step in the right direction for Black people and Black culture. I just wish that it got more attention. But of course, because it's more on the positive side, it's not filled with not that much drama, and it's not giving reality TV, people don't tune in to that. And we're going to see how many people tune in for this topic, because it ain't going to be that many people. I can tell you that now. But we're going to talk about it because I wanted to talk about it. I'm like, this is a good topic to talk about. So let me go ahead and get into this video. So this girl went viral for saying this.
So I literally had a conversation with my mom. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you stuff and stop me when I get disrespectful. I express my feelings, but that don't happen with everybody. And so when I was standing up here and you guys were like, don't belittle your children, but the whole statement of you're not on my level sounds like belittlement to us. It's saying you don't have as much value as me. You're not as important to me. You don't put up what I put up, so you can't have a say so in what we do. You don't pay bills. You don't own this house. You don't pay for nothing. So and it's
that's good.
And it.
Go ahead.
And when you bring up the stuff that you do for your children, it makes us feel like a burden. It makes us feel like I can't wait till I grow up so I don't have to be a burden to you anymore. If you say it's like when people be like your parents had a life before you, it makes you feel like I made you so miserable and bitter and like I just don't want to be here anymore because you don't want me to be here anymore. So why should I be here and put my best foot forward if the person who gave birth to me and made me come in this life doesn't want me? How am I supposed to look at somebody else for love if I feel like I'm not getting love at home? What do you do when you want to have somebody to talk to, but they like you can't talk to them? You go to somebody else to talk to, and that's not who you want us to talk to. How am I supposed to come and talk to you and you don't listen to me, but somebody else may listen to me, but they not gonna treat me how you want me to be treated? You love me, but you don't show it. But they don't love me, but they act like they love me. So I'm going to go to the person that acts like they love me and not the person who I'm going to go to the person who acts like they love me. Because when you grow up like this and you grow up with people who emotionally stunt your growth, you go looking for other people and you insecure. You go looking for other people for sex, for people who going to tell you, oh, you're pretty. That's why the first person to tell you you're pretty, I'm glad my mama never, they say your parent and your family is your first bully, pointing out every insecurity you have, and then you want your kids to feel beautiful and smart and go to school with people who telling them the same thing you tell them. That's not going to work. You can't You can't want to be your children's love and shelter, but you're not that. That's materialistic things. If God was only materialistic to you, you will feel hurt. You need to have your spirit be healed. You need to have your spirit be fed. It's okay to have clothes and shoes and all this stuff, but what about my spirit? What about my emotions? What about my mental state? You can't be, you look pretty on the outside. You got me nice shoes. You got me nice things, but I'm struggling on the inside. Some people want to commit suicide, but they look good on the outside. Y'all focus on the outside so much that you don't take the time. You say you listen to your children, but 9 times out of 10, you're not really listening because we don't feel safe. You say you create a safe space, but that's 9 times 10 is not true. Because even though my parents never hit me or they never threatened to hit me, they words hurt even worse. When you telling me you never say you disappointed in me, but your body language show it all. You look at me like I'm just some, like, you can't believe how you raised this. Some people say it to their kids, I can't believe I raised somebody like this. Well, if you raised me so beautifully that you said you is, how come I ended up like this? It's a lot of things that go into having a kid. And some people end up resenting their kids when they have them too young or they have them with the wrong person. And some people just realize that sometimes it's too late to recognize the trauma, because when you get older and I don't have to spend time with you, how often do you see me? When I don't have to live with you no more, how often do you see me? When some people get jobs, some people hang out with friends' house because they don't want to go home, and you refuse to recognize that you yourself have caused your child's trauma, whether you want to admit it or not. And that's the issue.
Yeah.
Not only did she unload the clip, y'all, she spoke for us all, because a lot of us feel this way. Hell, some of us are grown adults and we feel this way. She spoke nothing but facts. So I wanted to get into the follow-up video that took place that a lot of people are not talking about. So the church held another town hall meeting following this video going viral, which they were able to open up and create a even bigger dialogue behind this subject about Black parents and how they are causing their own children's trauma. And a lot of time the trauma is passed down from generation to generation because we just keep doing it. And it's just like, well, who's gonna be smart enough to break the cycle and not continue to pass down the trauma? Because a lot of these parents, I noticed when I was doing my research on this topic, was they say things like, well, my daddy did it to me, or my mama did it to me. But you realize that it's trauma, and then you turn around and you do it to your kid because you claim you don't know no better. But you do, though. But you do know better. And if you don't know better, why not go get educated? One thing that I've learned about Black parents is like they feel like they too proud, they too prideful to continue to educate themselves and to allow their kids to do so. Like allow their kids to teach them, allow their kids to educate them. It's like they too prideful for that. And this is why the Black community lacks growth. When you don't allow your youth, and that's what I'm saying, like with Black church in general, when you don't allow your youth to teach you, your church is dead. Period. When you do not allow the youth to teach you, when you do not allow your children to teach you, you are delayed. You are behind. You are not even with the times. And that's sad, which that can affect an entire community. That's why it's so important that you do leave room for children to teach you things. Nobody's saying they gotta dictate and be the authoritative figure under your roof, but they do know something. They do know things. I mean, you're not sending them to school to be stupid. I mean, come on, you know what I mean? And I think Black parents, they just too prideful when it comes to that. And I don't know where that stems from. I really don't. I don't know where that stems from. So I'm going to move over to my next screen and share the follow-up video that the church did. Here it is, which is on YouTube. They also have a YouTube channel. It's called Lifeline Church TV. Okay, so I'm going to hold on. I'm gonna start it at, what is it, 38? I think it's 38:14. Okay. Let me fast forward. Am I sharing my screen? Oh, I am. Okay. Oh, that is not what I meant to do. Come on.
Out to the community with the love of God. Have a great day.
Thank you. That is so sweet. Thank you for the super chat.
And if you're at home, you're in our online audience, you make some noise in your house, your car, wherever you are. And let's all begin to share. I need you to share and I need you to tag. I need you to like and love. You know what to do. We don't have a lot of time to do it tonight. So get right on it. I'm so excited about tonight. Last week, if you were here, how many of y'all were here last week? Raise your hand if you were here last week. Great. We triggered some things. We started some great talks, and we're going to attempt to bring some closure to that tonight. London is in the Bahamas, and I hope she's not watching. I hope she's enjoying the Bahamas. But if she is, y'all wave at one of the cameras, or just wave. She'll see it later. And I wanna get right into things. There's a lot we want to cover. And before we do that, come on, Elder, with the orange Converse on. Come on here. So for those who may be new
Let me speed it up, y'all, just a tad.
to the talk, to community talk online or even building, I want you to know who's on the panel. So we'll take maybe 5 seconds each real quick. Tell us who you are again so we can know who it is that's sharing this wisdom with us. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Dominic Foster. I'm an elder here at Lifeline. I've been teaching with the Chicago Public Schools 32 years, and I enjoy what God is doing for us here at this place. Yes.
Catherine Foster. I've been working with children approximately 30 plus years.
I am Kia Bradley. I'm a Crave leader here, bachelor's in psych, mommy of two, and a mentor.
Lance Ellis. I work with children for about 10, 12 years now.
Great. I'm Pastor Reggie. I got on my King Richard shorts today. And go ahead, Pastor. Alvin took you out there. I know.
I'm Pastor Twine, one of the pastors here at Lifeline. I am a support specialist at a therapeutic day school, been in social services 25 plus years.
Hello, everybody. I am Pastor Keisha. I do not work with children, but I have raised my own for 25 years.
Come on.
Hi, my name is Dominique Shorter Taylor. I'm a board certified behavior analyst. I work with adults and children with autism and special needs for the last 11 years.
Great.
My name is Tyler Lewis. I am Crave Nation's leader, and I've been serving with them for about 3 years.
Great. Let's give all of our panelists a hand. Now, we closed off last week. One of our precious Crave youth responded to one of the questions from the platform, and she did an amazing job, and she is back here tonight. Stand up, pretty, so we can clap for you. Stand up. Hey. Everybody can act. And who is that? What's that girl's name? She has about maybe 5,000 plus views on social media of that clip we put up. We're going to talk about that tonight. And some of y'all said, well, I wasn't here. I don't remember what she said. Let's run that clip again. And then we'll go right after that. How about that? Let's run that now. Can't hear it.
I mean, we want to hear what you say. Somebody's over here.
Smiley coming up. So in my house, with my mom, it was always everything was.
Hold on, we're gonna skip past this part because we already watched that. Okay, 40, 46. There we go.
Cause your child's trauma, whether you want to admit it or not, and that's the issue.
Give it up for baby girl. Come on, clap for her one more time. I believe that there must be a balanced approach to this subject of parenting. We must understand that both parent and child are human, flawed, and neither one of us have mastered the role of being a parent or being a child. We've not mastered that. Both our feelings are legitimate. They are valid. But just because I say something or my son says something doesn't mean that either one of us is right, but it's valid because we get to have our feelings. Y'all understand that? I believe children are a gift from the Lord. And we have a responsibility as parents. You can write some of this down. We're going to jump into some things tonight. To rear our children up, to nurture them, educate them, train them, look after them, watch over them, help them find their purpose, their bent in life, the Bible calls it. Develop them, tend to them. We are responsible for loving them and disciplining them. We are responsible for preparing them for adulthood, for teaching them how to live in this world independent of us. We are responsible for helping them make wise moral decisions, to be socially responsible. As believers, to know Jesus and his ways. That's our responsibility. To rear them up, to nurture them, develop, train, tend to, look after, love them, discipline them, prepare them for adulthood, teach them to live in this world independent of us, to make wise moral decisions. I tell my son all the time, I'm not going to always be with you. You're getting older now. Even as you go out with your friends and different things, I'm not there. I'm going to hope that you make the decisions I would want you to make or I've taught you to make. To be socially responsible. And for us believers to know Jesus and his ways. Now, the world's standard of parenting makes all of what I said very difficult. Because children have a voice now, and it's okay. I just don't think it's balanced. They have rights. Children are now socially awkward, more so than we were. We had to learn to communicate and talk because we didn't have our cell phones to hide behind.
Now, he's talking about the state of parenting today, which I do think is different compared to when I was coming up. But I will say this, like, it's so weird for him to say, I don't know why, but it's so weird for him to say that children have rights. I'm like, didn't we always have rights? And that's what I'm saying. It's almost like when it comes to the black community, it's like black parents they see us as, they see children as like subhuman or something. Like it wasn't until the 21st century that children were seen as like actual people. Am I tripping, y'all? Like this, it is, and to them, it sounds normal. But to me, it sounds absolutely ridiculous. Somebody that's in therapy, actively taking on a healing journey, working through my trauma and things like that, it actually sounds absolutely ridiculous. Like, children have rights today. Like, what? Didn't we always have rights? Oh my God. I don't know. It just sounded very weird. I don't know. It just sounded weird.
Children now hate communication. Sometimes we'll have talks and my son won't say anything, but then after he'll text us everything. And I says, hey, dude, we just talking. I feel more comfortable texting. No, that's not okay. It doesn't work in the real world. And so if we have a responsibility to do all these things, how do we basically parent, basically rearing of our children? How do we do that in a world that has tied our hands? I think baby girl talked very well last week. I think everything she said was spot on for whoever it's for. I think she spoke from her own personal experience. She spoke for other youth she may know. I think she did a very good job. I think all of that has to be looked at closely, dissected, balanced, so we can all have a greater understanding for moving forward. I sat and talked with my children after last week. It took a minute because the first meeting was, I want to talk, she said it all. Yeah, like she said it, and I want you to say it. I want to hear from you. And we asked them what parenting was to them. What do they think we're in this world to do? And the answers we got, some of them were insane. No, really, they were insane. And it showed where our children are. And so as a father of 3 black sons, I have a responsibility that it's tough to keep up with because you keep tying my hands. We can't physically discipline. You can't yell at them. You can't snatch them up. You can't be angry or disappointed with them. So how do we, as parents, do our basic job of rearing our children? Because here's the thing. Society says you can't do these things. But when something happens, society calls us.
Y'all. Yeah, y'all. Oh, y'all thought this was gonna be a kumbaya. We was all gonna sit down and get along? No. Now, y'all know me better than that. Come on now. You know me better than that. See, people never want to go look into things. I go and I look into things. I look into them. Okay? So just because that girl got up there and said what she said, that don't mean it changes or moves old school parenting and people that have that old school mentality. And my thing is, it's like, do you really have to yell at your kid and snatch up your kid in order for you to discipline them? He literally said, he said it. He said it very proudly. I'm like, dang. Yes, it's a slavery mentality, and they will not let it die. They just won't let it die. They gonna keep it alive, y'all. Dang, I know y'all wasn't ready for that. I know y'all wasn't ready for this. Themis, you need to do a video on this too. You sure do. And dissect this whole. Here, let me show you the YouTube channel. Okay. It's called Life. The YouTube channel is called Lifeline Church TV, Community Talk, Family Town Hall, Children, Teens, and the Culture. May 11th at 7 p.m. Okay. I honestly think Black parents don't know how to discipline and disassociate their emotions. I don't think they know how to do that. But let's continue.
The school calls you. Why do they call? Because your son is doing something that they feel he shouldn't or she shouldn't be doing in a public setting, meaning you should have taught them better as their parents. So now I'm calling you because they're committing crimes, their behavior is off, whatever the deal is. I need you to deal with this. But you can't deal with it this way. You can't yell at them. Don't touch them. Don't do this. Don't take their gadgets. They're sensitive. But you handle this. They get in the streets, the police are going to call you because your son or daughter has committed a crime. They're calling you because you should have taught them better so they'll know when they get in the streets not to do certain things. Well, how can we do that if you tie our hands? The coach is going to call you when Jimmy gets to the practice and won't follow the instructions and won't run the lap or won't do what he's supposed to do because they figure you should have taught them discipline at home. And we say it starts at home. But I'm learning it's getting tougher and tougher because now we can't even give simple instructions like take out the trash without it being a big conversation about how you feel about the trash and why you don't want to take out the trash and why you need a minute before you take out the trash. And so what are we really doing here? Because at the end of the day, I'm responsible. for nurturing and rearing my child. So when they get in the world, they can live independent of me. And most children now are entering the world and have no clue that there was a world out there. So they don't make it but 6 months in college. They come back home. They get a job. They quit it because they don't like it. Because all of the basic things we were supposed to teach them, they did not let us teach them. And so I tell my sons this: life will teach you what you didn't let me teach you. Because there are some things, it doesn't matter how nice I say it, Ellis, take my time. And I want to sometimes yell, and sometimes I want to cuss, but I just take my time with them. And it doesn't matter how you say it, they don't get it.
I do feel like there needs to be balance with this conversation, because what he's saying, he ain't lying about that. Like, when everything that he is asking of his children, it will be expected of them when they are independent and by themselves. So it's something that they have to do regardless. But my question is he practicing patience within his parenting to where he's sitting his children down and he is explaining to them why he requires these things of them, why they are important? Because sometimes Black parents, they don't have the patience to do that. Because a lot of kids, I think they would be more understanding to do this or to do that, and why certain things are expected and why certain things are required. Because just like your teacher will explain to you in depth why we must do X, Y, and Z, and then we do them. But when you just tell them, it's like sometimes kids feel taken advantage of. Like, I know I did. Like, sometimes my parents would just be having me do stuff just to make themselves feel better. And because they stressed out, so they want me to clean the house. And it's like, well, dang, maybe I'm stressed out too. Because we live under the same roof. If you stressed out, and then your parent would be like, well, what you stressed out about? Well, I leave the house and go to school and deal with bullies. I leave the house and go to school and deal with kids that pick on me for different reasons. Then I'm stuck in this classroom that doesn't really it doesn't really help me with the way I like to learn. And it feels like prison, where I'm in these classrooms all day. There's no windows, or there's a few windows. You know what I mean? And it's like, dang, like I need somewhere where I can decompress from all of that too. But they don't factor that type of stuff in. It's like, because again, children don't have feelings. Children, we're like subhuman to adults within the Black community. So I don't know, y'all. There needs to be more balance. And I honestly feel like the balance when it comes to this, I will say, this bridge that we're on, and it has this huge gap. The balance that's gonna bring us both together in this section right here, it's gonna be patience. And that's what Black parents don't have. I mean, a lot of them are quick to anger. A lot of them are quick to anger. A lot of them be so quick to anger, they don't even ask you, well, what's wrong with you? Well, what's going on with you? They just be angry. They just be mad. And you be like, well, dang. They didn't even ask you, like, why maybe you may have done this or why you may have done that. They just get mad. And then that's it. And now y'all both mad. And now you're more mad. And now they done created a space where it's hostile, and it's like you don't even feel like you can talk to them. You can open up to them, let them know what's going on with you, because they mad. And now you mad. And now it's a toxic household. And it's just repeated over and over and over again. Always yelling. Always yelling. Oh my gosh, I can't stand that. Sometimes I feel like Black parents use their children to get back at their parents. Yeah, like, oh, now I'm in the, and that's another thing, is I feel like some Black parents, they be like power struggle happy. You know, I'm the authority figure now. You got to do what I say, because that's what my parents told me. It's like, okay, I don't know. Like, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't feel like children should be running their parent, But there has to be some type of level of respect for both parties. Some. But what's been taking place just is not it. It's just not.
They're already convinced of something else. And it is my responsibility, because part of this nurturing, part of this developing is me convincing you of the way that you should go. Train up a child in the way they should go. I'm trying to convince you. I remember talking to the therapist. She says, what you know, you're trying to control. You can't control. I said, no, I'm not trying to control. I'm trying to parent.
And see, another thing that I want to add to this, I put on my Instagram story, I said that I went to therapy, y'all, right? I've been in therapy for 2.5 years. And I got to a point, I would say 2 years in, I got to a point when I realized I had to heal from Black church. I had to heal from Black church and its teachings, because the Black church doesn't teach you how to foster relationships in a healthy manner. It teaches you how to foster relationships in a very toxic manner. Whether that's you're a wife and that's your husband, or you're a parent and that's your child. Like, the Black church teaches you how to foster relationships in an unhealthy way. And when I went to therapy, I started unpacking that. I'm like, dang. And I'm like, no wonder the Black community is so dysfunctional, because I realized that for the longest, right, in Black culture, it was normal for us to rely on church as therapy, right? It was normal for us to rely on church for therapy, right? But then I'm in therapy healing from Black church. I'm like, girl, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is crazy. That's why I say everybody every Black person I know gotta go to therapy. This man sat up there and tried to tell the therapist, no, you're being controlling. And he said, no, I'm not. I'm parenting. And what he doesn't understand is, sir, you can still parent, but the way you're going about it is controlling. He doesn't know the difference. And so when I look at the Black community, I'm sorry, when I look at the Black community today, I'm like, no wonder it's so dysfunctional and none of us can get along. We don't even know how to communicate with one another, because we have relied on the church for years to learn how to foster healthy relationships. Y'all, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. No, the therapist didn't say, sir, you can't parent your children. The therapist was saying how you're going about parenting your children is controlling. But hey, how about we do it this way? You can still parent your child, but you don't have to do it in a way that's controlling. I don't even think Black parents know the damn difference. I don't think they know the difference. Oh my gosh. When I got in there 2 years into therapy, because when I went to therapy, it was for a narcissistic relationship. Of course it was. And then 2 years in, I'm like, well, shoot, a lot of my trauma, it started in the church. And then narcissism is really in the church. It really is, because a lot of people will use a Bible verse to back up their toxicity. Oh my, like he just did. He was like, I'm parenting. But sir, you're being controlling though about it. Like,
It's not control. Me saying, hey, wash the dishes. It's not control. And somebody even said last week that you got to be careful what you said to them here and there. So I feel like our hands are always tied. I feel like, yes, we send the kids off in the morning. We wake up, we try to tell them have a great day, this kind of thing. Let them send them a nice text. Love y'all, all of that. And sometimes none of that even matters. But I'm the parent that I'm not going to let certain things ride. If I tell you 8 times before you go to bed to wash the dishes, and I wake up and they're not washed, I'm not getting up making you pancakes and rubbing your head and telling you how good your hair look. I'm getting up saying, why didn't you do what I asked you to do before you went to bed? And if we can't do that as parents, then our hands are tied. And although life will teach them what they won't let us teach them, you don't want life teaching your kids.
Also, another thing that I want to point out with what he's saying right here, right? One thing that I noticed about black parents is they jump from one extreme to the next. Okay, your son, right, before you went to bed, right, you told your son to take out the trash, make sure the garage door was closed, right? And you woke up and the trash was not taken out, the garage door was up, and the doors were, your home was not secure, right? Any parent would be upset. Any parent would be upset, right? But he's using the example as, oh, so now I'm supposed to wake up and make my kids pancakes and all of that. No, you're supposed to discipline him in that moment. They want to jump from one extreme to the next. Like, my hands are tied, I can't parent the way that I want. No, you can't parent in a toxic manner because that's all you know. So you just want to react in that way because that's what you're used to. But if you would actually take a step back, no, he actually does need to be disciplined in this moment right now because he didn't do what he was told to do, and he did not secure your home, right? So you do need to discipline him. One thing that I learned about parents, black parents, is they love to jump from one extreme to the next. And it's just like, no, you definitely need to discipline your son in that moment for not doing something is, and then you didn't let the garage door down. Come on. They like to jump from one extreme to the next, but the therapist is just saying, like, no, in that moment, no, you could have disciplined him. Nobody's saying you got to wake up and make pancakes and all of that. Yeah, that's the thing. He wants to discipline him in the manner that he, either in a way that he was shown growing up, right? Like, he just want to wake up the next day and just basically, I don't know about y'all, but I was beaten up out of my sleep. Okay, I'm just the messenger. That's part of my childhood trauma. I was beaten up out of my sleep. So if I know if it was my job to take out the trash and to make sure the garage door was shut and closed and it was open, I would have got beat up out of my sleep. Okay. So that's how he wants to react because that's how he was done when he was a child and he didn't do something that he was supposed to do. But no, there are other ways that you can discipline him for not doing what he was supposed to do. But that takes patience, though. That takes more time. It's quick to get mad and then to just go hit somebody or start beating on somebody. It's so easy. And then you as a parent, another thing that I noticed growing up was sometimes when I got whooped, I felt like sometimes my parents, that it was doing more for them than it was doing for me. Any of y'all felt that way? Where because they were so angry, right? They were just so mad. And some of that aggression, because my parents, they didn't exercise, they never worked out. So they would go to work, be stressed, come home, they would eat and stuff like that, maybe watch TV, but that was really it. So they had no like area, unless it was alcohol or something like that, to release some of that stress that they dealt with at work. So if I did something wrong, right, they finally had that outlet through a beating or a whooping, whatever you want to call it, right, to release that stress. And so sometimes I noticed how when they would be whooping me, they were relieving stress for them. And I could, as a kid, I could feel that. I could feel that I was being used in that way for my parent, even though I may have done something that may have been wrong or whatever like that. But I noticed that sometimes the discipline that I did receive, it was misplaced anger or misplaced frustration. Oh yeah, that's why I'm just like, nope, 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 nope. Oh, yeah, it was definitely misplaced anger. For real. For real, for real, for real. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. And I don't even think, and sometimes because your parents are not perfect, they are human, right? Still not making excuses though, because it is unacceptable. But I don't even think they even had that connection within themselves that they were using this opportunity to discipline me to release stress. Something to think about.
Lessons. Because life won't have the compassion, life won't have the grace, life won't have that for them. And everything now is designed against what you're trying to fulfill in the home. And so I know times are not the same. You say, we ain't living back in the day. Trust me, I get that. Trust me, some of the conversations I have with my son, if we were back in the day, he would have been dead. I'd be locked up. So I know that. But at the same time, you get to have a voice, young people, but you are not equal with your parents. I don't know why we're scared to say that. I don't say what you want, feel how you want. You're not equal.
And then I'm not, y'all. Y'all. This is another thing. If this was back in the day, you would be, I can't say it, right? Why would you want to do that to your child? That is insane. And you know what, y'all? This is what's crazy. I don't think Black parents understand how traumatized they are. Discipline should not lead to violence that extreme. We're talking about somebody being in the grave, in the ground, 6 feet under. And they like to joke about it, but they really about that, because they were back then. They really were about it back then. Gosh. What's interesting is Black men, they come on this app and they say things like, the reason why I don't like dating Black women is because I don't want to have to go out into the world and fight the world and then come home and fight my woman. Okay, well, children don't want to have to go out in the world and then come home and have to fight you. Literally. It's like they get it when it's a romantic relationship dynamic between a woman and a man, but when it's a child and a parent, it's like, no, we gonna duke it out. So where's the peace? I thought we was trying to create it inside the house. It's gonna it just creates a hostile environment. I grew up convinced my mother hated me, screaming, hollering, cursing without holding food. Yeah. Woo. This is crazy, but let's continue.
We're not the same. You get to talk, you get to converse, you get to express, we get to understand, you get to feel, we get to feel, you get to be disappointed, I get to be disappointed. It's a natural emotion. If you ask somebody to do something or there's a level of expectation that doesn't happen, disappointment is natural. So how can you tell your parents you can't be disappointed with me? So here is the thing. This is just the opener I'm giving you all now. And y'all get ready to jump in here. I love my sons with all my heart, and I love the youth here. And I tell them all the time, I do what I do because I love you. And I know.
But sir, maybe you don't always know how to express it in a healthy way, even when it comes to discipline. Because I agree, when he did not take out that trash and he did not make sure that garage door was shut, that was definitely room for discipline. But will you love him enough to have patience with him while you discipline him at the same time? Do you love him that much? Or do you only love him enough to where when he does something wrong and it's time to discipline him, your first reaction is anger? That's the question that I have.
Son, there's a world out there. First of all, there's a different set of rules for you because you're a young Black man. That's a different set of rules. So I'm telling you things like, when you're in the car, don't blast the music. When you're in the car, don't do this and do this. I'm giving you all the rules and you're saying, oh, I got it. This ain't no big deal. Okay, man, just listen. And I think our children's ears have become head jewelry because they don't listen with them. And so I want you to understand what Aranda said last week. Absolutely necessary that you have those conversations with your parents. But understand, your parents is going to have a perspective as well. And they're going to say, hey, wait a minute now. There is some discipline that we must have because it's going to teach you some things. What I'm teaching you now at home, it's going to come up in the workplace when you get a job. It's going to come up when you go to school. It's going to come up when you go away to college, and you're going to think, it's Daddy tried to tell me these things. Or Mama tried to tell me these things. Getting you to wash your clothes now. No, I'm not washing your clothes. You have age now. You wash them. Because soon you won't be with me. Well, who's going to wash your drawers? Well, I don't understand why I got to wash my young. No, man. And see, these kind of things, I told Moses, I said, I need you to take your brother somewhere. Oh, why I got to always be the Uber? Wait a minute. I've been Ubering you around since you got here. And so we get to have a conversation about it, which is some I'm not used to yet. But we do it. We do it. But in that conversation, you're not going to disrespect me, and you shouldn't be disrespecting your parents. I told my son, I says, I'll be 50, and you've never witnessed me disrespect my parents. And I'm a grown man. So how do you get to disrespect me? How do you get to cross me and disrespect them? And I don't do it. So see, now it's quiet. See, we was clapping last week. Because you got to bring balance. You got to bring balance. And I sit, sometimes we talking to 1 a.m. because I'm trying to convince my sons that, hey, this is the deal. But you name the animals. I'm gonna let you name the animals, but what you name them, that's what it's going to be. Now don't be shocked if what you name them don't work and I don't come and rescue you. So now what I'm doing, Ellis, is I'm building up myself that I can take life teaching them lessons, which means when it happens, I'm not jumping in the rope with you. Because I said, don't go down there. You went down there. Now you stuck down there. I'm not coming to get you. I'm not sending an Uber. I'm not doing any of that because I told you not to go. You name the animal. I let you make it. I say, hey, son, here's the deal. If I were you, I wouldn't go down there. I'd probably do this. We can stay and have game night at the house and yada, yada, yada. No, I'm going to go down there. Okay, well, have fun. There you go. If something happens down there, that's on you. It gets quiet now. We don't talk. See, and it's because I love my sons, and I would hate to see anything happen to them contrary to my heart for them and God's heart for them. So that's why
I just noticed something. He doesn't like this method of parenting, and it's great that he's in therapy because it seems like it's working. He does not like this method of parenting because the number one reason why he does not like it is because he does not have control. He doesn't. He doesn't like how kids have a choice. He likes being able to say, no, you can't do. No, you can't have. No, you can't go there. Right? But now, I guess because he's in therapy, he's learning different methods of parenting by giving kids options, choices, right? And also explaining to them, like, hey, if you do go do this, or if you do go and do that, there are consequences. And so the reason why he struggles is because he wants control. He wants dictatorship. And that's not even real life, because that's not preparing them for the real world. You're not always going to be there telling them, like, hey, you can't go, or hey, you shouldn't do that. You should raise your kids up enough to the point where they can make discerning choices for themselves, because you're not going to always be there to tell them, no, you can't have, no, you can't go, no, you shouldn't do this. I don't think it's very lazy parenting. It is. And that's why I was saying, I really think that Black parents, they lack patience. And I said that was the number one thing that was going to bridge this gap. And then number two, they have control issues. They have control issues. He does not like this method of parenting because he does not have control. And he doesn't like how he loves his sons so much. He doesn't like how his sons have they can make choices for themselves. But I'm like, dang. And this is why, like, in Black communities, right, in the Black household, you grow up and you start making your own decisions for the first time, and your parents take it personally. Why? I'm you, you're you. I'm me. Why are you taking it so personally? Because for the first time, they got to allow you to make your own decisions, and they can't do nothing about it. And they don't have no control over it. That's what this is about. So they take it super personal, y'all. They get triggered. Like when you choose a different college, you choose the college for you because you're you, right? And they get all mad about it. It's crazy. I'm like, what you mad for? Like, I'm an adult. I can make my own decisions. But see, they not used to that. They could ease their way into that if they started with the child when they were raising the child. But no, they waited. They dictated everything, controlled everything, and in some cases sheltered you until you got to a certain age. And then when you got to a certain age, you like, to hell with you. I ain't listening to you no more. I'm grown, thank God. And then you start making your own decisions, and they start taking them personally. Well, I don't know where I went wrong with you. What? And then they try, and then this is another thing. This is another thing. Then they get into that, trying to emotionally weaponize you into doing what they want you to do. Again, and it's rooted in control. They got, like, I'm telling you, Black parents have control issues. They got control issues bad.
Sometimes I'm tough. That's why sometimes I ride them. That's because they're older. They're Black men. It's a different ball game. So my question, with all of that, and y'all jump in here, how do we basically do the rearing up of our children when seemingly our hands are continually tied? Continually. All right, it's your turn.
Okay. So when you speak about your hands being tied, I understand what you mean, like in society, like what they tell you what to do. But I mean, we are in charge of our own household, make our own rules, we do what we want to do. When it comes to the open dialogue between parent and child, I do think that it is necessary. And I think that a lot comes from it that parents just don't know that comes from it. Like, even though your children, you may see them as you're questioning my authority, or you're questioning me as that, or as challenging my authority, which is like they are.
Come through, sis.
It's for understanding. And even if it doesn't feel that it's for understanding, it should always be for understanding. My son is 4. He asked me why. And I'm gonna tell you why every time. Mm-hmm. And you're gonna do it, whether you like it or not. I'm going to explain why. If I don't have a reason, maybe I shouldn't be asking you to do it. But I bet you I have a reason to do it. When it comes to children feeling like they're equal with their parents, I think that is a question for the youth. I know that there was a point in my life where I thought we was neck and neck. And that was just because of the dynamic of our home. Because we have to also take into account of the dynamic of their home. So if my mom is a single parent, she works 2 jobs, and I'm at home most of the time, and I can, and it's not even that I'm running the house. You're providing everything for me. You're taking me to and fro. We good. But at the same time, there are certain things that are just not there. And I have the control to do my own thing. Not necessarily bad, but it has an effect on how I view you as my parent. So that is also, like I said, I think that is a really good question to ask. Why do they think? I know why I thought, but it took me years to go back and think about that. So crave. Why do you guys? Because even Aranda, what you said in your thing, you say you don't want to belittle me, but you say we're not on the same level. When I spoke of belittlement, I was speaking about your feelings, you as a person, because you all are human beings. You do have feelings, and we should respect them. And when we communicate, we should be respectful as well on both sides. But as far as a parent and a child goes, we're not the same. We're not on the same level. You don't share the same responsibilities of me as your parent. Not to say that you're a burden, because I took this on. I lay down and I had you. I got up and I pushed you out. You're mine. But I have to rear you in the way of the Lord. I have to, make sure that you're provided for.
Okay. I think this is like the gaslighting part. I told y'all Black people gaslight. The Black community, they stay gaslighting. When parents say things like, "You not on my level," it's not that they say it. It's in the way that they say it. Because how she's saying it, okay, that makes sense. But like in the moment, when they're mad and they have their anger issues, I don't know, because they had a horrible day at work, and so they just lash out off on you because you did something so small, right? And then I don't know, you get into an argument, and then they say things like, you not on my level. It's the vernacular that they use when they say it that's so degrading. They know exactly what we mean by what we say when we say that. And that's the issue that we have. We understand that you're the authoritative figure, but just say that you're the authoritative figure. And I think I have a male friend, and he was saying that one day when he has kids, he said that he's always going to teach his kids to know who the authoritative figure is within the space that they share with other people, because it's important. It could be, okay, you're at a park. Well, okay, is there park security? Because that would be the authoritative figure. It's not that it just starts in the, I mean, it starts in the home. There's always going to be an authoritative figure, but there's also authoritative figures outside the home, like at school. At school, who's your authoritative figure? Well, in the classroom, it's the teacher, right? In the entire school, it's the principal, right? Or the administrators, right? So at all times, he said that he is going to teach his kids to know who the authoritative figure is in every space that they may share with other people. And I think that would knock all of this whole conversation just, out. Just, we can knock it out the way now, move it out the way now. But no, they do it as a way, as like it's to like it's like fear mongering, like I own you, or like, it's weird. And it's just like, just teach your kids to respect authoritative figures, whether that's you as the parent, a principal, a teacher, a park security worker, or whatever the case. Just teach your kids to respect the authoritative figure, instead of making this about we not on the same level. It like, all of that is just not necessary, and it's really not needed. It's not, because it is belittling. It is belittling. So when my male friend told me that, I was like, you know what, that's a very interesting way and interesting perspective to use when it comes to that. I'm like, and he was raised by military parents, so that kind of upbringing's a little different. But I felt like that was a good way of putting it. It's like, yeah, teach your kids to always find out who's the authoritative figure in whatever environment that they may share with other people. It's fair to me. No, exactly. They view kids as like, as not property, but like, I don't know. It's just like I said, like sub to them, because they're the parent and that's their child. You know what I mean? But I do feel like kids need to learn how to respect authoritative figures in whatever space that they share with other people. So in this case, it would be respecting your mom or your dad, or if it's school, your teacher or the principal or the administrators, or if you're at the park, the security guards or whoever are working in the park. Thank you for the super chats, you guys. Okay, I'm going to continue. But this, we not on the same level. It sounds very belittling. Like I said, it's not that you say things. Sometimes it's just how you say it.
Or if anything happens to you, if you get locked up, I got to pay the bill. Anything you need, I must provide it for you. I am your parent. So why do you think that that's the same?
Anybody want to answer from Crave?
Or why do you think it should be equal? If you do believe that way, because I think that's the thing. We don't know why you may think that way. So let's probably break that part down first.
Raise your hand if you're in Crave, if you think that you are on the same level as your parents. Raise your hand.
No judgment.
I don't think they're gonna raise their hand now, child.
All the parents, close your eyes.
But if you want to answer her, please. I want you to be a part of this conversation. He told me in the back that you guys asked for your own panel. We're going to do that too. But today, you're just as part of this panel as we are, although you're not sitting up here. And I want
when they say like we're not on the same level, like I think about respect, y'all. I'm not like, my parent doesn't have to respect me because they're the parent and I'm the child. Is that not what y'all are getting from this? Because that's what I got. Like whenever my parent would say something like stay in the child's place, and stuff like that, it was almost like, because I'm your parent, I don't have to respect you as a person, as a human being, because I'm your parent. And I don't think that they understand that that's how it's conditionally being processed to us, which tampers into our self-esteem as children, which that one day feeds into our adulthood self-esteem, which again correlates with the title of this video. Parents cause their children their own trauma. So I don't know, like that. It's like it's a respect thing when they say that. It's not that a kid can be an authoritative role in your home. It's just like, it's almost like you're saying no, I don't, like, we not on the same level. Like, I don't respect you. That's how it's coming across to me. So I think, and that's how a lot of, and then that's another thing. I think that's how a lot of children internalize that. I think that's how a lot of us internalize it, and then we grow up, and then like we have all of these self-esteem issues, self-confidence issues. Sometimes we don't even have the confidence to be self-assured within ourselves to where we can make our own decisions and choices. Like it really tampers with that. So I don't know, y'all. How are y'all taking that statement? Because it is belittlement. It is. And even and then this is another thing. I don't think Black parents understand this too. They lack self-awareness. I tell my mentees all the time, you can't call yourself a good person or a good partner to be in a relationship with. I don't care if you're a coworker, a boss, a brother, a sister, an auntie, I don't know, a niece, or whatever the case may be, and you lack self-awareness, meaning you lack self-awareness to the point where you don't know how you come off to others. And that's what they lack within this conversation. And the reason why it is bad parenting, in my opinion, is because they lack self-awareness. We're telling them how it comes across and how it affects us, and they don't want to make changes and they don't want to adapt. That makes you a shitty partner. It does. That's why I'm like, people don't know how to be good friends nowadays because people lack self-awareness. You lack self-awareness. You don't know how to read a room. You don't know how to read a child. You know your child this child is more sensitive than this child. You know that this child you can say this to, and then this child you can't say that. You know what I mean? So it's just like they lack self-awareness. So it does make you a shitty parent though, and it would make you a shitty partner as well, because you have no awareness of how you come off to others, and you don't want to take in consideration about how you come off to others. So it's like nobody want to be around you. It just is what it is. I tell girls all the time, the only way you know you're a good friend is if you are self-aware of how you treat others, how you come across to others, and how others may perceive you to be. Otherwise, you're a horrible friend. Period. I don't care who you are, what you look like. You're a horrible, horrible friend. And you may need to do some shadow work. It is what it is. Same thing goes with this conversation right here.
I want to hear your voice. I think she spoke well for everybody last week, but you all have a voice. So if you even think that or have thought that, or you have friends that think that, let's talk about it, because I don't want you to feel belittled, but we have to be honest, you're not on the same level with your parents. Anybody want to share about that?
You can say it was your friend who think that way, so it's not you. But it helps for you all to tell us,
Yeah.
so that we can talk about it and we're trying to figure it out.
We talked about it we talked about it with our sons and talked about the whole friendship thing. And I realized what you said was important for me to even more consider. There's a certain level of reciprocity that comes with friendship that my child can't give me. Now I can love them, they can love me, we can be patient with one another, all the love attributes. But as far as friendship, relationship, there's reciprocity. If Twan is my adult friend, I can call him, I can vent about certain things. I can call him if I need some money. I can do all these things. I can't do that with my child. I can't go in there and say, hey, Justin, come in, let me tell you about your mama now. I can't do that. Yeah, people do, but you shouldn't. And so the friendship thing for me, I think that reciprocity is not there, so we really can't be friends, but you can get the friendship, what you call it, attributes. Yeah. So nobody.
I think it's more so about bonding with your kids, but with boundaries. Black parents get so hung up on friend. Listen, you should be able to have a bond with your child because they have a personality, right? They have feelings that you need to foster and nurture as well, right? Which also involves quality time, bonding time, right? But with boundaries. You should be a friend to your child through bonding and quality time. It's okay. It ain't gonna hurt you though. I don't think they know the difference, y'all. I don't think they know the difference. I don't think they know the difference. And they probably don't know boundaries, because you can bond with your kids, but it's like, listen, now don't, you know what I mean? You taking it too far. There should be boundaries in place where they know they can't cross, certain thresholds with you while bonding, while spending quality time with each other. But like, how many of y'all grew up in a black household and you don't even know your parents? It's like you look back on your childhood, or you look at your parents, and you be like, I really don't even know them like that. And it's because they never bonded with you. They never developed a friendship with you with boundaries, right? They never bonded. Like they some of them, I hate to say it, a lot of them worked a lot. They didn't bond with you and really spend quality time together. So it's just like, y'all really don't know each other like that. So, and then this is my favorite. This is my favorite. When we grow up, right, and we develop our own lives, we get into adulthood, we may go off to college. Some of us don't even move back home, and we start our own lives and stuff like that. You get on the phone and you don't ain't much to say. I hate to say it's but it's because they never bonded with you. Like, they never created a bond, some type of friendship with you, with boundaries, of course, or spent quality time with you to get to know you and what you like and your interests and stuff like that. And so, when you get on the phone with them in your adulthood, it's just, hi, you know what I mean? Like, you don't even know what to say. It's very sad. It actually is very sad. Then they send you out in the world at 18. Yeah, girl, it's a mess, girl. It's a mess. And it's a generational repeated trauma, because they don't even know their parents. I had to learn that too about my parents. I'm like, well, shoot. My parents don't even know their parents. So how can I be mad that I don't know my parents? But that's how they were raised. And I'm like, dang, I'm going to ensure that if I do have kids, or when I do have kids, that I actually bond with my kids. Like, I actually spend quality time with my kids, and I learn what they like, and they learn what I like, and maybe we can bond together with things that we like, with boundaries, you know what I mean, by spending quality time one-on-one with each other. And I also think one-on-one quality time with children is very important. It's very important to foster a healthy relationship. So then when that child does grow up and they become an adult, you can still bond with them. My parents don't even know how to bond with me, y'all. It's actually very sad. It's very, very sad. But it is what it is. And it's because they never outside of, like, my parents would take me to like Disney World and stuff like that. But you know how, like, maybe your parents would bond with you over something that you mutually like, or that you mutually enjoy. I really didn't have that outside of basketball. But once I grew out of that phase of liking basketball, it was like, that was kind of it. And then I started realizing, like, dang, I really don't know my parents like that, really, for real. I don't really know my parents like that, for real. My mom is the reason I psychoanalyze people. I was desperate to know her, so I studied her actions and the things she said. Ooh, yeah. Maybe that's why I am the way that I am too. I never thought about it like that, because it's like they won't tell you nothing, and so you do, like, you try to learn them through their ways. I can agree with that, because you just want to know more about them, because you don't know them for real. But then when you ask them about how they grew up and stuff like that, they don't want to talk about it. So I'm just like, well, dang.
Nobody's going to answer that question live, y'all. I see. But just understand that it is not a belittlement. I respect that you feel that way. You get to feel that way. But I want to say, for all parents, it is not an attempt to belittle you. It is just the truth of the matter. Go ahead. You gonna say something?
Yes, I'll kind of take a stab at it for Crave, since you guys don't want to answer. I try to be empathetic and see other people's perspective, and it could just be because this new generation is so advanced. We said it last week that they have access to almost anything. Back in the day, we had to go to our parents and ask them for information. Mom, what does this word mean? Now my kids don't even come to me. They go to Alexa and say, hey, Alexa, what is this math problem? So they have access to so much that we didn't have. And then also growing up, it took us a long time, especially my generation, to prioritize things like self-care and mental health and, how to, not get burnout and how to make more money a lot quicker. So this generation can feel like we do know a lot. We have a lot of access. But what the younger generation may be missing, even when it comes to my parents, is that life experience and wisdom. And you can't just look up wisdom. How do you gain wisdom? You have to learn, you have to live, and you have to fail in order to get that. So I can see how a young child or a younger generation may feel like, I'm catching up with you, but you will never be on our level because we have different experiences and I can help you. And if you see me as an ally and not as someone who's against you, you can use your resources, I can use my resources, and we can help, bring the family to a whole nother level for generations and generations to come. So it shouldn't be us going against each other. It should be you using whatever you have, the tools that I have, and we're working out this together with both understanding and being accepting of what each other has.
Yeah, lady, that's good. Lady Brown 40 says, I think a lot of adults or parents have placed their children in adult situations and responsibilities, and that's why they feel they are on the same level. Absolutely. But now here's the thing. Again, everything is based on, like she talked about, the dynamics of that home. That's not every home. So if you get to be a child and you get to not have any responsibilities but going to sleep, getting up and going to school, then that explanation doesn't work for you. That your amen doesn't fit there. This is for, and I understand there's different dynamics all over the place. Every family, every household is different. So we can't just say yes. No, that's that particular situation. Tyler explains a lot about his upbringing, totally different from mine and yours and yours. The dynamics are totally different. How he thinks now is totally different. How we respond to life is different. How I respond to life, we can look at the same thing and see it different based on our upbringing and how our household was. And so you gotta talk and fashion these things around your house. And so we do that. What happens when you're trying to talk with your kids and they're already convinced of something else? They don't want to talk. They don't want to receive. What do you do? Go ahead.
It goes again with what happens in individual households. Because I speak to a lot of children that's given a lot of adult responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It may be a single parent situation. So the children have to get home from school. They have to pick up the little siblings. They have to come home. They have to cook for the siblings. They got to bathe the siblings. They got to put the siblings to bed. They got to do all of this. But then when mama do come home or the teacher do ask the child something and now they're responding like an adult, we're looking at them like they're being disrespectful.
Absolutely.
But we've put them in an adult role all day, all week, all month, all year.
Absolutely. I get it.
So the point of you're saying like not even just the adult responsibilities, not just kind of get brain fog, but you were saying like my hands are tied. What am I supposed to do when my children don't want to talk to me? Even the stuff that Miranda spoke about having a safe space for your child, or you say listen to me, but you're showing me something different. Your body language is something totally different. I remember being in that space, even going through depression in my junior year of high school, and not wanting to talk to my mom at all, not speaking to her, not leaving my room. And I know that that's something that the youth right now, mental illness is up there. So to that point, I do want to make it a point to say, if your children are not listening or you're not being able to talk or get through to them, please make sure that they have somebody like their godparents. When you pick your godparents, I hope you pick a good set. They need, no, see, I'm not even trying to be funny. Yeah. This is our responsibility as a parent that does not fall on that child. Do they have somebody that they can go back out and reach back out to? Have you put that in place for them? Because it's your responsibility at the end of the day, for real. Yeah. It's our responsibility. I did have a godparent that I can go and talk to. I did have a friend's mom that I can go and talk to. So there are other safe spaces that just may not be your home. And I don't want y'all to limit that to my.
And I'm gonna be real with y'all with this one. And this is just this is my opinion. It's straight no chaser. The reason why a lot of parents don't want to admit that the reason why their kids, they have these adult responsibilities and then they have these adult opinions and reactions, right? Is because if they have to acknowledge that the reason my child has these adult opinions and these adult reactions is due to my poor choices, mine, that now I have to put this child of mine in a position to be an adult in space of, I don't know, a partner that I probably should have picked better, just being real, right? they don't, you know, that's too, that digs into their pride. So they not gonna address that. But it would, like, if you come on, like, opinions are opinions and reactions. I do it all day long. It's based off of your experiences. So if a child is being put in a position to have adult responsibilities, that child is going to have adult, quote unquote, opinions and reactions because it's based off of their experience. But now you want to handicap them because they're a child. They've been a child, but that didn't stop you from putting those responsibilities on them, though. But you know what? You don't want to address that because then that means you have to face your past mistakes. And you know how they like to act like they holier than thou. You know how black parents like to act like they holier than thou. Oh my gosh. Like they ain't never did nothing wrong in their life.
My safe space must be my home because it just may not be.
I think children identify their safe spaces, but just because it's safe doesn't mean it's wise. So sometimes their safe space is other youth that are dealing with the same thing. So yeah, I'm able to vent, I'm able to talk, but I'm still not getting the wisdom I need.
Which is trauma bonding.
To move forward, to come out of this depression. I'm not getting that. So I think that's important too.
I agree. And I feel like our parents probably are not going to like me. There's a lot of the things that I'm going to say, but I'm going to have to say them. So, and I agree 100% with what you're saying. But just like we have to provide food for our children and shelter, everything else, we must provide a spiritual life. Like you have to bring your children. You need to not even just here to the sanctuary, bring them to Crave. This is how we rear them up spiritually. When I was going through depression, I'm having suicidal thoughts. I knew I could not offer myself. Because of my relationship that I already had with God, because my mother put that in play for me already. She made sure that was, if anything else, oh baby, that was going to be a priority in your life. And you're not going down there. And I knew better, even though I didn't want to. I knew that it was something in the back of my head. And I'm not putting all of that responsibility on parents, but I think that it's a big thing that's overlooked. We'll take them to basketball. We'll take them to the friend game. We'll take them to the party. But I'm not coming to church because you don't want to. Absolutely not. I'm not going to sit down. Do we sit down and do we teach our children? Hey, this is why it's important. Like, this is what I'm saying. Understanding. Charles, why do I have to pray at night? So that God can cover you. So that God will protect you. Because there's other things you don't even know about. You think those monsters on your thing is scary? Baby, it's a whole nother world out here. And I'm going to introduce you to it now. You're going to pray. So you have to be sensitive to these things and knowing our part in it, how serious and important it is. And I don't think that people even think about it like that. People do think, I'm bringing my kids to church, that's it. But what are we doing at home to show them that this is important? In fact,
Man, it's quite, you're not getting any amens. So
I amen myself.
I think that is so important. We've kind of overlooked that. And the Bible talks about there came a generation that did not know the Lord. And I think we are in that time right now. And we got to just do better. You know, we're all doing our thing. And you're right about even the sports. The children have so many things now. And society doesn't care when they are or what time they are. And we commit to that. You know, and I know sometimes we used to have to take the boys, they would have like practice at 7 a.m. or games at 7 a.m. You know, I don't care if it's Sunday, Saturday. And I'm like, this is crazy because back in the day, I don't recall that, you know. And I think that is important what you said, that spiritual part is a part of the rearing as well. So even when they go through these moments of depression and things like that, and peer pressure and all the weight that I know you all are having to carry, trust me, you'll have that foundation of
do you? Because you say things like, but you're not on my level. But we having those type of experiences that we both share.
For the younger generation. That's us, of course, too. Now, if the camera can zoom in on this right here, this book has changed the way I teach and changed the way I do a lot of things. Can everybody see this? It's called Stolen Focus, Why We Can't Pay Attention. Now, I would encourage all parents and everybody here to buy this book because it basically says the media, social media, tech giants have hacked our attention. Which means we're barely listening to each other, we're barely paying attention, and as Dominique mentioned, we're really not showing empathy. Okay, so get this book, okay, because the person that don't read good books has no advantage over the person who can't read at all. Now, I have a question for the youth. I have a question. And just be honest, be transparent. What do you believe that adults and parents do not understand about the younger generation? In other words, there's an expression, you know, I work with people at CPS, your age, and I always hear from students, Mr. Foster, my mama, my daddy, they don't get it. They don't get it. So help me to understand.
Help us.
What don't we get?
Come on, Reggie, y'all talk. Come on, Caleb. Come on, sister. Here she come. Come on. Take your time. No. Go ahead. You're there. Go ahead. Pull it down so we can hear you. Yeah. You can hold it.
Okay, the kids are finally able to speak, y'all.
Is it on? Okay.
When you was talking about how your hands were tied, you kept on. I realized that you were listing options that were all about violence. So that let me know that those your first response to any little thing your child did was to hit or yell at them. And that's probably why when you talk to your children calmly or you try to come to them calmly, it's too late to talk to them calmly because all they're used to now is the violent response. They're used to you yelling at them or like raising your hand because you can see sometimes your child even flinch.
You better tell them, girl. She was waiting.
Back a little bit. And when you say you can express your feelings, but you say but, that take away all what you just said. Because you can't have a but. That means you gotta that's an argument to that's what we learned in school was your was your contrasting statement was a but or a however.
Right.
Or a moreover. It was like that's a statement that says, you can be like, oh, you're very pretty, but you could do this to be more pretty. It's like you that take away that but statement take away what you just said. So you can be like, you and then you said I gave you space to express your feelings, but know that we're not equal. So why would I talk to you then? You don't want your kids to talk
Well,
to you.
maybe the word "but" is not properly or grammatically correct, but it still stands. We're not equal. I don't. It doesn't matter.
She's gonna be something else when she get older.
My son is not equal with me, and as far as violent, I've not hit my children since they were maybe in the second grade. We've been stopped spanking physically our children. We don't do that, and so we took all of those things off the table.
But it doesn't mean that you don't want to, though.
My point is, it doesn't matter what we try. It doesn't matter what we say. The advocacy is seemingly always with the children. And the parents' hands are always tied. So whether I said but, and, however, or it wasn't grammatically correct, I meant what I said. They're not equal with me. And they will never be because I'm not equal with my mother. And I'm 50 years old. I'm not equal with my father. And I'm 50 years old. I honor and I respect them. And this generation doesn't know how to balance, have a voice, but still honor and respect your parents. That's dangerous. The level of disrespect that I see across the board.
You guys, are y'all able to still respect your parent and still be seen as equal to them? I mean, isn't that the whole point of being seen equal in this world? Is so that we would respect each other? He feel like he can't honor his parents because he's seen as equal to his mother. Come on, that was the whole point. That was the whole point. Was so it's about respect. You can still honor your mother as your mother. You know what I mean? Like you can honor her based off of that title alone, or even your father. But it don't mean that you got to be sub to them though, or beneath them to honor them. Do they not understand that there's two ways they can do this? It's just not one. There's two ways you can do this. Man, I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know. I do feel like respect and honor is earned, but like we're talking about that's your offspring. You know what I mean? If you raising them right, you should be able to return that respect. But it just I don't know. I don't get that. I don't get that part. I don't. And then it's like a power trip. It's rooted in ego because I'm just like, well, what does it really matter though? At the end, like truly though, for real, like what is the reason behind why this is such a big deal? Other than a power trip, which a power trip is rooted in what? Ego. He wants to feel like the authority figure, but you are though. Like you are though. I don't understand why that's not enough. And I get the vibe that for men today, like it's like you a man. I shouldn't have to feed more into your ego to make you feel like a man. You should feel like a man within yourself. You're a man. You should feel confident in yourself to be that man. I shouldn't have to give you an ego trip to make you feel more like a man. That's why I'm just like, what I honestly want a parent to explain to me what is the purpose of this for it to even make sense. Because it don't make sense to me.
Just casual conversation. I'm like, oh my God, like, what is this? And I'm not talking about back in the day, we didn't do that. It's up in today. It's not okay. It's just not. And so I get your heart. You get to have every expression. And I don't want to come off like I'm running over what you're saying. But as for me and my house, my sons, they're not equal with me.
Well, we get that. We don't want to be equal with you. We just want at least for you to like understand like our emotions, because like you said, we can say all we want, but at the end of the day, you're not equal to you. I don't want to be equal to you. I just want to have like a common understanding, like that maybe I need, like you said, you weren't allowed to say that you needed a minute, but I don't feel safe expressing my emotions in front of you. So if sometimes when your kids shut down on you, that's because they try not to like show emotion to you, and they trying to act like they trying to say that they're listening. And sometimes when
It's what you're saying is great. The points you're making are advantageous for all of us.
Are valid.
To consider. Some of them we are doing. Some things you spoke to, people were not there and they had to get some things together regarding their parenting. Some of us are there. Again, I can only speak for me. Yes, what I was a yeller for a long time. I'd raise my voice, but I'd never raise my voice to start. But if I've said 8 times, go get this trash, by the time we get to number 4, my voice is now starting to rise. And I don't the therapist told us you can't do that. Well, again, I look at that as tying my hands, because now we can't do anything. You can't have any natural responses. And I took it as this. I know what works in my house. I sit down with our boys, Twan, I let them talk, and we listen, and I let them talk.
I don't understand why, when instead of, okay, when I get to that 4th time, I want to get loud. Why not punish them already? Why do you feel like your only next method is to yell at that point or to beat? Because I'm gonna tell you now, listen. One way that I am thinking about disciplining my kids is with fitness. Trash didn't get taken out. I gotta tell you 4 times. Give me 40 push-ups. You know what I mean? But like yelling, that's so lazy to me. Like, it's just so lazy to me. It's so lazy. And the reason why I want to use fitness, is because, well, first of all, fitness is important. You know, it is. It's important to keep your body healthy and to stay in shape. So 4 times I got to tell you to take out the trash. Give me 40 push-ups. Don't want to give me 40 push-ups. Well, I guess you can't go to your basketball game. And now you got to go tell your teammates how you can't go to the basketball game because you didn't take out the trash. I had to tell you more than 4 times. And then I told you to give me 40 push-ups and you didn't want to give me 40 push-ups. So you can't go to your basketball game. You know what I mean? It's so lazy to yell though. Like, it's so lazy. It's because you don't, and they won't admit this, but Black parents won't admit this, but it's because you lack the emotional intelligence, right? To manage your anger better when it comes to your parenting, which that would take you disciplining yourself, which you have a hard time doing. So I don't get it. I don't get that. I don't get that. There's ways to get around that. Fitness shouldn't be seen as punishment. No, it's not. It's a reward.
I let them talk. And a lot of times, if the response ain't okay, that's what y'all do. It's like, you didn't listen to me. No, just because I didn't do what you thought I should have done doesn't mean I wasn't listening.
Or you didn't get the response that they wanted you to give.
I'm the parent, and I feel like this is a better decision for what we're talking about. And sometimes I'll let them have it. Sometimes there's grace given across the board. There's times you don't deserve to get the car, but you get it. There's times you don't deserve to do this, but you do it. And we do it all the time, all the time, all the time. But on the back end, hey man, before y'all go to bed, let the garage down, take the garbage out. Now wake up at night, garage up, garbage still in the house, alarm not on. Should I say, well, praise God, they're just beautiful. We just deal with, we talk. No, we're gonna talk through this. No, we're not gonna talk through it in therapy. You're gonna come down here and close the garage. And I know people say that's just too rough, Pastor. I am raising men. I'm not raising boys, I'm raising men. And in 5 years, they'll be in the world and they're gonna see. And I don't want them to have to see the part that they can avoid. That's my whole goal. That's my whole thing. So I take them to work. I pick them up. I make sure they get there. I help them with all this different stuff. I want you to understand how life works. And they say sometimes, but Dad, like you just said, you don't get it. Oh, I do get it. I get, you get a check, you save your money. Give the Lord his, save this, spend the rest. You don't get it. That's the formula, son.
And it's not all the time that parents don't get it.
And this is why I said give me 40 push-ups, because he is raising men. But he shouldn't have the results of violence though. He is raising men. So I don't know why 40 push-ups is considered to be abuse. That's crazy. Or is considered punishment. He's raising men. I don't understand that. He would, if he had to go to practice, he would do it. Is it considered punishment then? Like, he's raising men. Please, to the women that's in the chat, please don't coddle these. They already soft as hell. Damn. It's punishment because they got to do 40. They're boys. That's what they need to be doing. That's why they so soft now. And they don't want to go outside and be outside. They want to be up under your skirt or in it. Make them do 40 push-ups or 50 push-ups or 100 push-ups. Like, y'all stop being soft on these boys. For real. Allow them to cry. Yes. Foster their emotions. Yes. But stop being soft. Damn. That is annoying as hell. I hate it when I see that. And then they grow up to be soft. For 40 push-ups? Come on. That's nothing. There are women out here doing that.
You all have to remember, as young adults and adolescents, you have to give your parents an opportunity. And in all fairness, a lot of times you all are going to each other for things that you should be going to your parents for. And they can't help you if you're not being honest and transparent. Because a lot of people are just angry. But how many are you all willing to really sit down and talk through that anger with your parents? And the anger is usually a mask for other things that's going on. It's usually some fear that's going on. It's some frustration that's going on. It's some hurt that's going on. It's some pain that's going on. And you got to be able to bring those things out.
Elder?
In a responsible way, in a respectful way.
And sometimes, Elder, it has nothing to do with the home. But that's where we do have to be sensitive to say, hey, I noticed you came in looking a certain way today. What's going on? What's up? You good? And we do these things. And London will go in the room as a mother and she'll sit on the bed and say, I know something up. I know you want to talk about it, but what's up?
Somebody said, somebody in the chat, and I don't know, I may block this person, but I've already raised kids. And that's the thing. See, people like to make assumptions about you because you don't have kids, but it doesn't mean that I haven't already raised somebody else's kids though, which happens a lot in the Black community. And a lot of the kids that I raised were boys. That's why I don't have kids. This is why I don't have a family, because I can actually focus on myself. Y'all kill me with that. Y'all make assumptions and don't know nothing. Some of us are single Black women, and we've already raised kids, other people's kids, literally raised them. We see them graduating from high school, college. We changed their diapers, made their bottles, made sure they were fed. But you don't know that because what? I didn't birth them myself? Crazy to me. Like, I got a cousin right now. He has 2 kids. I'm like, dang. I remember changing your diaper. It's insane. So it happens a lot in the Black community. Like, it happens a lot. A lot of us be raising each other. It is what it is. A lot of us be raising each other. And we kids ourselves. We kids ourselves. So I'm just like, that's why I don't have no kids now. I know how much work it takes. That's why I don't have no kids, because I know how much work it takes. People don't understand that. Like, just because some people don't actually birth them don't mean we didn't help raise kids. And you think I get a happy Mother's Day card? Do you think I get celebrated on Mother's Day? No. But I was out here helping people raise their kids, though.
I'm here for you. And we do this. And it's like, but it's not enough. But I want to get him real quick, because I want him to say what he's.
Okay, I was answering your question. You're saying like, what don't we get? Like, what do the parents and the child get? It's not that. I say it as if some parents use their past and how they grew up as a child, and we live in a whole different world now, because some of the stuff that our generation is going through is not even like, I don't want to say worse, because everything is equally as bad. It's just what we've gone through and stuff, like what we deal with, like mental health issues, and like the way we view our bodies now, and the way people view our bodies, and the way they view us as a person is not how you guys like grew up. So like when you guys start using your past lives and like how you grew up, and we try to understand what that means, and we try to explain it to the parent, it doesn't align, and we feel like, and we start to think like, okay, they're using this, but it doesn't make sense to me. I'm going through this, but I don't know how I can talk to you, because I don't know if you can help me, because what you're saying doesn't apply to doesn't align to what I was going through.
Gotcha.
That's what.
Got you.
I think that a big thing that I'm hearing is that they don't know how to express what they feel and what they want to say in a respectful way. And sometimes you really don't. You really don't. A child has a temper tantrum because they don't have the language to say how they truly feel. This is as far as their brain is going at this level. Not to say that their brain as teenagers cannot go past the level of that they can't be respectful, but in certain situations when you're super emotional, in a lot of turmoil, I don't even know how to express what I'm going through on the inside. I can't even process this right now. And I really think that that's kind of the thing. I don't know if that's speaking to what you're saying. Like, I can't process this myself. And right now, you're not even helping me process this because you're trying to get your point across so bad. Sometimes it's just sitting. If you want to sit, I ask, like, do you want me to sit here? You don't? You need a minute? Like, because sometimes they really do, like how you may get a text message. That's because he's had time to sit and think about something. And maybe that's just how he processed it. And he did maybe text. I will send a text message. Not to say, and I can say everything in my text message to your face, but I just had a minute to sit and write it all down. That's just like how you may prepare an email. You wrote your rough draft because you know exactly what you want to say. You may be double checking what you're saying so that you're not being disrespectful. Sometimes I have to write out what I say even to my husband because I'm like, I want to make sure I'm being careful with my words. I want to make sure that I am being respectful of his feelings and still getting what I need to say across.
Absolutely.
Sometimes as like our generation, we looked at how you respond to us before, and we get scared of what's gonna come out afterwards. Like, that's why a lot of times we send a text message, because through a text message we can't tell if you're happy, sad, angry, or mad. Like, we can't tell that. But when we're in your face and we've seen you do it multiple times, and we know, okay, if I tell him how this went today, or if I say this way, we see the response that you've given us before. And so when we keep coming back and you keep giving the same response, then the child starts to back, and now he doesn't want to talk to you. Why? Because we see the same way you respond to us, and it's not like it's coming out as disrespect. But when we see your emotions and how you react to
you rather avoid that.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, for all of Crave, all the youth, do your parents not get to have emotions? Do they when you bring them something, regardless of the receipts you have of how they acted before, do they not get to have emotions? It's just a general question. Y'all, you can answer for them.
I think that parents have every right to have emotion, just as a child has every right to have emotions. It's how you use your emotions on the child. Sometimes like a conversation that I can have with my mother, when our emotions, how we react together, it could be the way she takes it as I tell her, it'll be cool. But if
I don't think they are understanding like where he's coming from. A lot of times Black parents get defensive first, and then when they get defensive, then they get mad, and then they get angry, and then like they ruin the safe space to really come to them and open up to them with things. So it's easy to just text them Because, and then this is another thing. Sometimes Black parents don't even allow you to get everything out that you need to say. And then you think about, and then you in your room thinking about it later, like, dang, I wish I would have said this, or I wish I would have said, I didn't even get to get everything out that I wanted to say, because somehow they flipped it on you, and somehow you need to just stay in a child's place, and yeah, that's the end of that. And then you never got anywhere. So sometimes it is better to text them. Unfortunately, I don't think it has anything to do with kids and their lack of social skills. It could be, but sometimes it's just like that safe space just is, it's not there to verbally, and it's a verbal expression. It's the verbal expression that we want to give, but we don't feel comfortable giving, or we don't feel safe to give, because in the space that we hold with you, it's very hostile. That's like trying to communicate to someone in a hostage situation. Like, somebody is being held, and you trying to communicate with them like, hey, don't unalive this person. It's a hostile situation. That's how intense the energy is when you try to come with them with certain things. So you just don't feel comfortable. You don't feel comfortable, and I don't blame them.
If I talk to my father, it comes out a different way. So now I get confused, and then I'm like, okay, I don't want to talk to my dad today because how he just reacted to this way. So I'm gonna talk to my mom because I'm calm with her. But then there's some things that I can't talk to my mom with because I know her emotions towards that I can talk to my father. So
you try to avoid all their emotions.
No, I'm not trying to.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. So you don't want your parents to respond to you in a real way. And I think, I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about abusing you verbally. I'm not talking about that. But we get to have emotions. We get to be upset. We get to be angry, and we get to express that sometimes. We don't get to sin and cross the line with it concerning our children and anybody, but we get to do it. And so what you just expressed, you get to express that, you get to feel that way. But I think you're trying to avoid just the natural response from your parents. So you go to each one to get certain things. He teaches this very well, that the father and mother are going to respond different. There are certain things in London. They can be dead wrong, but she's going to be the nurturer. She's going to call them in. She's still going, I ain't taking you to work. Get on your own because you shouldn't have did this. And I look up, she took them to work. It's just going to happen like that. She's supposed to be the nurturer. She's supposed to come, rub their head and that kind of thing. I'm the one that say, hey, man, that ain't how you do this. And I learned that from this brother right here and how he taught about his children. And I need us all. This is the whole point of this, Caleb, and you, is for us all to understand. I have a strong perspective. You all have a strong perspective. But we got to come together to have an understanding of what works for each home.
Pastor.
If it works for you and your mom and dad like that, hey, great. It may not work for somebody else that way.
If I could use a metaphor real quickly.
Use it.
Think about it like this. He just said metaphorically, we all want to see the movie. We want to watch it on a VHS or Betamax. You want to use a DVD player, which is new technology, or you want to stream it. We all want the same thing, but we're going about it differently. And I have to say this from the perspective of a teacher who works with young people. As adults, I'm 63. I'll be 64 in July. But we have to take a step back, older people, the other generation, older people. And we have to put ourselves in the mind of the younger people. Not that we agree with it, but a lot of what we perceive as disrespect is really not disrespect coming from them. It's just,
right.
Unfortunately, this younger generation have not learned adequate, appropriate social skills. So they're walking around, they don't know what they're saying, what they're doing. They don't understand personal space. And I know I'm generalizing, but for the most part, and it's nothing.
That's good.
It has nothing to do with ethnicity, has nothing to do with income. This is just something worldwide, and you'll see it in the book if you get it. So therefore, we really got to be empathetic and compassionate with this younger generation, because to some extent they don't understand social cues. You can, back in the days, you can look at somebody and they straighten out. You can stare at kids all day and they still won't sit down. There was a student, listen to this. There was a student told me today to be quiet because he was trying to focus. Now, one of the other students said, you don't talk to a teacher like that. Now, 60608 almost manifested in me. If you don't know, 60608 is the village. Okay, it almost manifested, but I had to stop and says, he doesn't understand. So a lot of these younger, they're not being disrespectful. We can't take it personal. They just don't understand.
So how do we get them to understand?
We got to teach them social.
It goes back
and
to
when
teaching.
we try to teach them these social skills and they say, I don't want to learn that, what do?
I'm going to give my answer last.
I mean, I'm not trying to be funny. I feel like I'm trying to get help up here too.
But it goes back to what you said.
Yeah.
A lot of the young people are saying you're yelling, you're screaming. I can come at the opposite end because my daughters always look at me because I don't have enough emotions for them. So it puts us back in that situation. You don't want us yelling and screaming at you, or now you're trying to press the buttons to get me to yell and scream. So when I'm talking calm and I'm not cursing you out and I'm not calling you out of your name, you can't handle that either. So what is it that you really want?
I think
Go ahead.
that,
Go ahead. Then we're going to go to Elder Floyd.
I think that it goes back to communication. I think the youth are mentally drained because we live in a world that beats them up daily, right? So when they get home, you know, it is going to be a different story because even with the teacher that they got to school, you don't know what the teacher's doing to them. The teacher having a bad day, the teacher probably be taking their anger out on them, and then they come home, it's a different story. So that's why it goes back to having that conversation with them, because a lot of that you was talking about how like they didn't want to wash their clothes, they didn't want to do this, they didn't want to do that. That probably is because they probably depressed. You know what I mean? So I think it's just having a conversation to see, are you depressed, or just seek help. If you can't handle it, seek help. And another thing I wanted to say was, as far as like, the parents with the kids, and somebody said it in the chat, sometimes it's a manipulation thing, right? So you got to think, your kids are smart, your kids are anointed. They can see your insecurities, so they gonna play on your insecurities because they got it like that.
Ooh, Floyd. Go ahead, Floyd. Thank you, Tyler.
I actually, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about is really spiritual warfare. And the Bible teaches us to try the spirit by the spirit to see if it's of God. That means to see if they have good intentions behind their actions. A lot of times in the society we live in, we give these kids a lot of options and a lot of freedom. But my question to the youth is where the fruit that's coming from. We give y'all all this freedom, all these options, yielding here and yielding there. But our society in which we were brought up, we don't operate like that because y'all was too rough, but it seemed like it was more morality in our generation. There's more immorality in y'all generation, but y'all have more options now. So where is the fruit gonna come from with us yielding in these areas to you guys? Like Pastor said earlier, I'm bigger than my father.
Effective communication.
But I don't count myself to be equal to my father. I choose to be under him. And I think as children, it's your responsibility not to be equal with your parents, but to choose to be under them in a place where we respect them, we appreciate everything that they're doing. But watch this, we will try to be equal eye to eye with our parents, but we'll yield to Lil Durk. We'll yield to Drake. We'll go under them, but I'm eye to eye with you. And I'm the one feeding you, I'm the one clothing you, I'm the one providing for you, but you feel like you can look me face to face and stand chest to chest. But if you in a game, Twan, you go fall under chief. Because if you don't, you go get a pumpkin head. Absolutely. So my question to the youth is, where's the fruit? I mean, like, where are these scholarships at?
Y'all, this just went so
they
left.
see something from all this yielding.
Amen. That's a good one. Hello, sir.
Hello. Growing up, I'm answering like the first question you said back when it started. Growing up in my house, like I used to get whoopings a lot, and that never bothered me.
You said it didn't bother you?
No, because after I got whoopings, my mom would explain to me like why I got whooped, and she'd like break it down. She'd like, I did it because this and that. It's wrong. You can't do that no more. Just because I whooped you, it don't mean that I don't love you. So like growing up, like the physical stuff, it never bothered me because I feel like once I got whooped, I probably did something like to get whooped. And like the thing is, like the emotional stuff, like I'm not saying you can't be disappointed in me, but because like disappointment is gonna push me into like something greater. Like I'm not, if I fail, of course you're gonna be disappointed because you expect better of me. It's the thing of like you have to understand the difference between like disappointment and disgust. Like you can't look at me like in disgust because like I'm not living up to your expectations. Yes, I'm trying my hardest, but that doesn't mean like you get to look down on me like
right.
I'm not like would I go wrong? And like you can't also like take your past emotions or emotions on from your day and then throw them onto me because we are both not having a good day. Like I just bumped into you. No, not even that. Like I asked you where the milk is, and now you're saying, "Oh, it's right there. You don't never look for nothing. That's your problem." Like I just asked you where the milk was. You know? I just asked you where the milk was, and now you're telling me I don't ever look for nothing. That's my problem, and that's why this and that is gonna happen. And then I came up with so many things to answer. I don't have an answer for what you said. However, what you said about like the anger thing. A lot of times, kids growing up, anger, like when I grew up, how I am now, I don't like have a, like, as you guys would say, like a well hold on how I feel, So like I get angry really easily because growing up as a kid, I saw anger as a really destructive emotion. So I couldn't be angry in my household because it looked disrespectful. So I kept on my anger in, and now that I'm 17, I'm old and everything, I get angry really easily. And when I start to get angry, I get like physically heated, like my tones start cracking, and like when I get like really angry, I feel like physically violent, and that's the only because like what I've seen growing up. So it's not like I'm trying to be better, like so I can learn my parents. But then again, it's
I went through a similar phase. Like when I turned 18, that's when I was like fighting people. For real. Because it was like, like nobody could say, like it was, I didn't have to internalize my anger anymore. And then because I didn't have to internalize my anger, I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to manage my anger. And so I'll never forget, I got into an altercation with my dad. Me and him got into a fight. So yeah, I didn't know how to, and this is why it's important that your parents give you space to emotionally grow. And they don't do that when they think this type of parenting is healthy, because it's really not. And so yeah, you ball up all your anger, you internalize it, you develop avoidant personality, you even have a distant personality, like you just internalize a lot. And so when you do reach a certain age and you are able to express yourself more because you're an adult, sometimes you don't know how to manage your anger. I had to take anger management. People look at me today and they just be like, you've changed a lot. But y'all have no idea. I'll never forget this. This one girl, I gave her a concussion. I broke this one girl's collarbone. People don't understand. Like when I was angry. Like I was mad. But that was the thing. I don't know if it's truly in my nature to be slow to anger, or it takes a lot for people to really make me mad. But you got to do something like really, really bad to me in order to really bring me to that level. But like when I said I was done fighting, like I was really done fighting. After I did my anger management, completed the course, I was like done with that. And that was shortly after I got into an altercation with my dad. Like it was bad. I was putting holes in walls. I was doing all type of stuff, y'all. And it was because I was so angry and I was going through a lot. I had just got done dealing with my sexual assault. Like I had so much built up anger, and I did not know how to manage it. I didn't know how to manage my emotions. It was really, really, really bad. That was probably like the worst time of my life, honestly, was around this time. So like, yeah, like, no. And I'm telling you, if you do this to your kids, they're not gonna know how to deal with their anger. And a lot of times we pick up the habits. We pick up the habits of or we pick up the habits of our parents, right? And then we like lash out at people in the same way. So not saying it's a good thing, but that's why like I promote growth, y'all. It's because you can change your life around. You can change your life around, but it's gonna take a lot of work because the damage didn't just start with you becoming an adult. It goes all the way back to day one. And you got to go back and you got to unlearn and you got to unpack, and you have to work through certain emotions, certain memories that you forgot about. And then you got to like push forward, work through current emotions, feelings, and things like that, and then push forward. You got to go back before you can go forward. And it's a lot of freaking work. It's a lot of work. My anger management was court ordered. It was court ordered. So I don't even know who. It was so long ago. I don't even know who it was. I just remember being court ordered though. I don't know anybody else that had court order anger management. But you know what? Judge was cool though because she saw that I was dealing with a lot. Judge was cool. It was a she too. She knew I was going through a lot. Yeah, but it was court ordered.
17 years of me being angry, and now you want to open that 17-year-old Coke bottle and act like it's not going to blow up in your face. It's going to blow up in your face. You've been shaking it for 17 years. You hear me?
Which adds to the sad note I wrote, because a lot of times parents, you don't want to have those conversations with your children when they coming from the womb all the way up. You know, you kind of negate what they're saying and what they're doing, and all of a sudden they're 16 and now they're yelling at you and they're tall as you and they're disrespectful. And now you're saying, I don't know what's wrong with you. I don't know what's wrong with you. Rules without relationship breeds rebellion. And that starts from little. You don't wait till they're 17 and then you begin to raise them. That starts at the very beginning.
I think that we don't.
Oh, go ahead.
I think that we both, parent and children, must understand that we both have a moral responsibility to each other.
Who?
So a moral responsibility to each other, like the Bible tells us, what is it? Ephesians 6 tells us to honor thy mother and thy father, and your days will be long, because there is wisdom with honoring your parents and respecting your parents, even if you feel like they are wrong. And sometimes they are wrong, but that does not negate that you are supposed to honor. It doesn't say honor your respectful parent, honor your this. You still have to give honor and you still have to respect them. But then you go down a little bit further to verse 4, and it tells us, do not provoke your children. So it's a balance thing. We do have a responsibility to one another.
But that has to be taught
exactly
in
in
the
the
home.
not.
So in our family meetings, even if you said they don't get to come here often because of schedules, then you should be doing it at home. What you just referenced from scripture, most kids never heard that. So we have to teach these things in the home. I'd rather you teach it and they hear from you first than from their youth leader or myself. They want to get it from home. We talk about family meetings. It's very important. And if I ask you all to raise your hands if you're having them, those hands wouldn't go up. You got to do these things, okay? I got to get this line because you got 3 minutes. I want everybody to talk. Go ahead.
So for me, and I have 3 girls. So before Elder Dominic has taught on, you have to get an understanding of each other's definition of things. So yes, even when she spoke last week, we went home, talked all through the car. For me to understand the parent side of when we say you're not on our level.
This her mama, y'all.
Merely explain to her all the things she read out. When we say that, we mean yes from the aspects of we're the provider, we're this, not that we're canceling out anything that you have to say, but we mean it from that level. So even with, and I've even, gotten people challenging how I have parented them since we've had this conversation because of our relationship. It has nothing been but the grace of God that I have, to me, 3 of the most amazing girls that have not given me any trouble. And I believe it's because of my relationship with them. How I parented them was based upon things that I didn't get as I was growing up, but not to push it on them. But I wish I had a mother who was open with me about boys. It would have kept me my legs closed when they shouldn't have been open. So I don't have that from them because they are young ladies growing up. When they started developing, I let them know, hey, y'all going in their park, them little boys from the beach. I had these open dialogue conversations with them. So when they got outside, them boys wouldn't be in their ear because I wasn't in their ear. So I made sure I had them conversations with them. So that made them more comfortable, like, hey, mom understands us. And then when they come in the house and seeing stuff that I don't get, I say, hold on, I'm gonna need you to revert that in my understanding. So I get to know how we can communicate. And even our sayings that we had back in the day, I said something the other day, Randall was like, what that mean? And I had to explain it to her. So sometimes explaining what we don't understand on all levels will help it go. And we have open dialogue, open communication. And as she said, I'm very soft-spoken. I've never raised my voice to them, but I can't give them a look and they know that I'm not playing with them.
Right.
And that respect stays, even with me being able to have the open dialogue with them and understand that I allow them to talk, I allow them to express their feelings, and I'll let them know, okay, hey, this moment is getting too much. So to me, when you're saying hands being tied, I think starting from a young age and them having that feel of you, even when they get out and grow, even though world is challenging them, because I've expressed to them what's happening. Even when they started school, I ran down everything that was going to happen. I didn't push it on them and say, now don't do this. As soon as they got to school, everything that I told them, they can't get home in the car and said, mama, man. And it wasn't that I beat them in them. I said the expression and I let it go. I put it in their ear, let them know I didn't beat it in them. And sometimes we have to let them tell them, but let them experience whether they're going to do it or not. We're going to tell them, but just like God loves us and gives us a free will and choice, it's the same with our kids. So we got to understand what we tell them. They still have their own free will and their choice to listen to our voice. And sometimes they're going to do the opposite and they got to learn.
Great. Thank you.
Remember when I said, and this is an ongoing thing in the Black space, Black people in the Black community jump from one extreme to the next. She wants them to avoid men in male contact. And it's because she's parenting them from her trauma. She's not parenting them from a healed place. She's parenting them from her past trauma, which is putting them off on the wrong foot already. And that's why it's important and that's why I was saying, like, even in the Black women's empowering space here on YouTube, with the whole divestment situation, right? I was saying, like, a lot of us need to heal. A lot of us don't even need to date. How can you date and you have all this trauma and you haven't dealt with it? You haven't even worked through all of the emotions that came with the trauma that you carry. But you looking for a man though, and you think you're gonna find a good one, and you think you're gonna attract somebody new or different, but your whole emotional DNA, mental DNA, self-esteem DNA, confidence DNA is built off of the trauma that you've gone through. Don't make sense to me. That's why I had to get off that movement. I had to get out of the movement because you're not about to lead me astray. I'm sorry. I will go walk a different path by myself. You're not about to lead me astray. You're gonna make me bump into another narcissist. He just may be white or Indian. Hell, who know? Or I don't know. He's just gonna be a different race. Because my entire and I talked to my therapist about this. She said when she told me you don't need to date, and I did not date. I didn't date for like a year and a half, or a year and some months. She said my whole emotional DNA, mental DNA, self-esteem DNA, everything that made me who I was built off of the trauma. So she was just like, how can you go out here and discern in the way that you need, in a way that benefits you in your dating life? You can't. You can't. And I wouldn't be able to parent either. I wouldn't. I if anything, I probably shelter my kids based off of my own experiences. But does that really help them though? No, it doesn't. It doesn't really prepare them accurately either. So I don't know, y'all. I don't know. I found my therapist off of blackgirltherapy.com. But I'm not giving out my girl's name because y'all not about to book her up and then I can't get to her. I'm gonna be bad. She good. And listen, when you find a good therapist, do nice things for them. Buy them some flowers every once in a while. It don't hurt. Like no special treatment. But I just wanted to thank you for all the wonderful things that you do. For real, because they open your eyes and expand your mind to think differently. And sometimes when it comes to the Black women's empowering space, I'm not saying that the intentions are not in the right space or in the right place, but sometimes like it's not always the healthiest, simply because that person that is advising you is not being advised or is not being counseled. And so they may lead you astray, and it actually doesn't benefit you in the way that you really would want it to. When she said my whole DNA is built off of my trauma, my emotional DNA, my mental DNA, my self-esteem DNA, my self-confidence, all of that was built off of the trauma that I endured. I was like, she told me, you don't need to date. You can't even discern. I said, dang. And your therapist, they hurt your feelings too. So be prepared. Be prepared. They hurt your feelings.
Come on, sister.
Hey, Pastor Reggie. Hey, everybody. So this is to answer your question. Well, not a question, but a statement you made of when Justin or somebody come in with expression and you automatically know it's something wrong and you go to them and be like, hey, it's safe to talk to me. So my question is, how do you feel safe or how do you feel coming to somebody if you have a presently absent family member in your household? How do you feel safe to talk to somebody who you say, or like my mom, yes, I can say she gives me everything, but after she gives me something, it's a complaint after. I shouldn't even get it to you. How do you feel coming to somebody like my father where I haven't even heard him say he loved me in years? So it's like, how do you feel? How is that your safe place? And then here we are come to church and it's like, I'll do anything for my kids, but it's already deep down inside like, are you really? Do you really? So it's like, oh, you can talk to me about anything, but can I really without a complaint being behind it or somebody just a blank stare at you? How do you deal with the parent that hasn't even fully healed from their traumas that they went through as a kid?
Yeah, that's what
Yeah. So there was a point, and I'll just be very transparent, in me and my mother's relationship where she was emotionally unavailable to me. She was physically unavailable to me as well. And I believe that we cannot act like these youth are not as mature as they are. They have understanding, and like we have a responsibility to each other. But for yourself as a person, and this is something that you just maybe learning early on, you have other avenues to find your safe space and pray about it. If you don't see it right in front of you of who it is, because every safe space is not. Everybody doesn't come from. Not speaking on your home, but everybody does not come from a home that's all the way put together. Just like you guys go through something, parents go through things too. Like we don't sometimes understand you. Y'all sometimes don't understand the parents. So it's like, yes, give grace, but also for yourself, advocate for yourself. I need a safe space. Who do I see that I could be? Where can that be? And it may not be, like Pastor said, a youth. It may be somebody, and I would not say that it should be a youth, because for a safe space, you do need wisdom. You do need somebody that can.
You know what? And I want to add, y'all, that one hit home for me. When that girl said that her own father didn't tell her, that he loved her. How many of us grew up like that? And so and this is another thing that Black parents need to understand too, and they don't want to take accountability for this. But sometimes it's a combination of things as to why our childhoods are so traumatic and traumatizing. I mean, think about it. You don't tell your kid that you love them, right? And then you say things like, "You're not on my level." I mean, damn, like, what the hell are we supposed to think? You don't like us. I ruined your life. You hate that I'm here. I stopped you from being able to do what you wanted to do with your life. Because it's a combination of things as to why you cause trauma on your children. Like, you give them trauma. It's a combination of things that you're doing. And you don't want to own up to that. Like, you're not telling your kids that you love them. And you saying you're not on my level. Like, come on. What are we supposed to think? Come on. That's crazy. So, I mean, the girl really didn't answer the question for real. She didn't answer it. She didn't. Because I'll never forget when I started telling, me and my brothers started making it a thing to say I love you before hanging up, right? And when we first started this, it was very awkward. Like, it was very awkward because it's just awkward. I was like, I don't tell you I love you. Like, you should know that, because that's how we were raised. And then I'll never forget, you guys. I'll never forget when I was a kid, I didn't even know how to accept hugs because my parents didn't hug me like that. Like, they just didn't hug me. Like, hugs were not a thing that we did as a family. So we didn't say I love you. We didn't receive hugs, but I can give you a whole list. And I'm telling you, this list is like a CVS receipt of everything that I ever did wrong in my childhood. But are there moments where my parents told me that they were proud of me? You know what? I can't even think of a time. Like, it's a combination of things as to why we have the trauma that we have from Black parents. And it's something that they don't want to take accountability for. But hugs? I swear, y'all can ask my best friend. When me and my best friend became friends, she was a huggy person. And whenever she would hug me, like she would hug me, and my arms would be like this, and I'd be like this. And she'd be like, "Why are you like that?" I'm like, I just, like I don't come from a family that do hugs. Now I hug people. I can actually hug strangers and stuff like that because I had to reparent myself. I had to get used to accepting physical affection from others. Like my family did not know how to express love for someone. They don't know how to, y'all. It's the weirdest thing ever when I think about it now. Like it's crazy. I'm like, dang, you don't hug, you don't hug, like we don't say nothing. So, my best friend now, she's like, oh my God, you're so different. You're out here giving hugs and stuff like that. Yeah. But I did when we first became friends, she would always hug me and my arms would always be at my waist. Because I would, and then that was another thing. So the women that are up here, or on here, when I tapped into my femininity journey, I had to learn how to receive love because I didn't know how to receive it. And I know that sounds crazy. I did not know how to receive love because love was not expressed through physical touch that much as a kid. So I didn't know how to receive it. I'm like, and it felt so awkward. That was another thing, was how awkward it would feel. And it made me so uncomfortable. Oh my gosh. I still struggle sometimes. But once I get comfortable with people, I'm fine. But I remember I didn't even want to be touched for a very long time because I just felt like it made me uncomfortable. Like somebody hugging me or someone showing me like outward love and affection through physical touch or whatever like that. I did not know how to receive it. And so for a long time, I did not want people touching me. I didn't want people touching me. I didn't want people hugging me. I felt like it was just so awkward. And it didn't make me feel comfortable. It made me feel like weird, out of place. I don't like it. But I'm used to it now. Like I hug my brothers and things like that. I hug my mom. I hug family now. I even hug some of y'all when I see y'all. But a few years ago, no, I didn't do hugs. I didn't know how to. And then I'm like, this one man, I'll never forget when I was dating him. And this is why if you do struggle with like intimacy or showing physical affection and things like that, like you do need to date and have these interactions with men the opposite sex and your friends because you did not get it in your childhood. How else are you going to develop this skill? No one is saying have sex because intimacy, it has levels. Okay. There's emotional intimacy, physical intimacy, sexual intimacy, spiritual intimacy. But if you didn't get that in your childhood, you're kind of delayed. I hate to say it, but you are. And so I was dating this one guy because y'all know I'm a late bloomer too. So I was dating this one guy and he was like, why are you always giving these awkward church hugs? And I'm like, well, honestly, I really don't know how to hug like that. And he was like, you don't know how to hug? I was like, no. He was like, were you not hugged as a kid? And I was like, not really. Not that I really remember. And he was like, let me show you how to hug. And he actually taught me how to give a proper hug because when I started hugging people, I would hug people like this. And then that'll be it. Like I would make sure to rub shoulders with them and put my arm around them slightly and then back up. And it was because I didn't know how to place myself in that space with another person to hug them. And I know it sounds like that is so ridiculous, but no. But now I actually know how to give a hug, like a good hug. Like I actually know how to give a good hug now. But before I did not. So he taught me how to hug, y'all. That's why you got to get out here and get these experiences, especially if you did not get them in your childhood, because it is so imperative to your growth and your socialization skills and your interactions with others. It's so important because I was so delayed, and then being a late bloomer made me even more delayed. And he had to teach me how to hug because I didn't know. I had no idea. I was like, oh, so this is how you hug somebody. I'm like, okay. And he made me feel more comfortable about it. Like, I'm like, okay, this is not bad. Okay, I can give hugs. I can be a hugger. Because I used to say, oh, I'm not a hugger. I'm not a hugger. I'm not a hugger. I used to do that, but now I hug people. So, you know, something to think about. But she didn't answer the question though.
Probably been through something that you've never been through that can help guide you. Make sure that they're in the Word of God. You know, like you may have to seek that out for yourself. It just may not be your parent, and you, even though it's a hard truth to say, you got to be okay with that. You just it's hard, but going through, you understand that this is all that my parent may have to give right now, and that's okay. But I know I can get it from somewhere else, and lean on God to be your safe space.
But at the same time, it's like your trust is not with your parents. So how can you go out and just fully open up to somebody else and you don't trust them either? So it's how do you finally open up to a safe space?
You got to start. You got to be a part of building what you don't have in your home. So you got to have those hard conversations. You got to go to the parent that says she's never said they love me and tell them that. So you never told me this, and why? You got to be a part of the solutions we want to see in all of our homes, and the healing process.
I think that's
somebody came to me and said, like I told my mother this, and she suppressed it. Like she said, my uncle couldn't have done that. Well, you took her trauma, and now she is in trauma because she's now hearing something about the brother that she loves, who now did something to the daughter that she loves. So now she's been introduced to trauma. So now we all have to now walk through this and be a part of the solution and the healing of it. But it's not going to happen without communication. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard. It's going to be very uncomfortable. But there's no other way around it. Okay? Say some.
Mole, what
Really quickly,
website?
and just like what Pastor was saying, sometimes because you are an adult and you have to
The
grow up in a
therapy
certain
website?
space, sometimes you have to sit back and say, there's a historical makeup that my parent was a part of that I may not be aware of. So you have to be able to open yourself up to having conversations with those parents to say, tell me how you were raised, because you'll be surprised at the answer, and you'll understand that the reason that they may not have been available to you because nobody was ever available to them, and they don't know what being available to you looks like.
Yes, sir.
So my whole thing is as far as like the emotional response. So I don't think it's the fact that we're not saying that maybe the children, our generation doesn't understand that you guys can have emotions, but it's the simple fact that it's a different story when you try to use your emotions to invalidate my emotions. Because it's not saying that, hey, you're mad, now everything I'm saying is entirely wrong, because both can be true at the same time. You're mad, now I'm mad, and now we got a whole dysfunction going on. But now I'm trying to say, hey, something you did made me upset, and I was like, oh, now I never did this for you. What the bam? It's like, I'm not saying that. I just said that I just didn't like the way you did this. Like, so why is it coming to a personal level? Because like you said earlier, I heard a lot of amens and hallelujahs when you said don't respect your parents, but no one said amen or hallelujah when it said don't provoke your children, because that's a totally different topic that no one really necessarily touches on.
Yeah, I think we had to learn that in our home. We had to learn how to hear each other, and we had to learn how to allow each person to have their feelings, their emotions, and their experience. And what we would do is we would cut off your experience by saying, it's not what I said, it's not what I meant. Yeah. It's like, you didn't let me have this moment. This is how I felt in that moment. And you cannot agree, but you got to let me have that. And so I think it's important that we train ourselves, and we had to do this, and we're still doing it, to listen when the other person is talking. Let them have everything they're saying. You can in your head feel like, I know that's not what I said. Let them have it. Let them express it. Let them pour it all out. This is how I feel. This is how I've been feeling. Let them have it. And sometimes you have to let them have it and say nothing. Because if you come right back trying to explain, sometimes it kills everything they just said. And they feel like and we had to learn that. And and we're going to have a marriage panel too, because I had learned it in marriage. So Linda would express things to me, and I'm like, no, that ain't why. Yeah. And she's like, well, you know what? Forget it.
and then the children would express things to us, and we go off, no, that ain't what we said, that ain't what you're supposed to be doing, and you should just watch that like we told you. It's like, but I just don't like the way you did this and that, and no, you don't get to nothing like that. And we had to learn these things. Let each other have their experience. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm speaking for my household, and I heard Janae say she's raising her kids the way she was raised.
Absolutely.
And similar to me, I'm raising my children the way I was raised. And unfortunately, we are raising children who feel like they're entitled. Okay, and I'm speaking for my household. So my kids are used to these designer clothes. They're used to having a good life, traveling, doing whatever they want to. So in that aspect, much is given, much is required. Okay, I'm not gonna. When I ask you 4 times, I'm raising my voice. When I ask you 8 or 9 times, now you're getting cussed out. Okay, I don't feel like I should have to ask you over and over to put the dishes up. One thing I will not do. Too many times I'm going to bed with my kitchen with the dishes in the dishwasher. You don't have to wash the dishes.
Just
you
put them in the dishwasher and close the door.
And put the detergent in. Okay. So that's my thing.
Gotcha.
Okay. So yes, we fuss at them. Yes, they used to get whoopings when they was younger. Yes, I still yell and scream at them. Okay. But there has to be a communication. I don't want when you come in, well, I'm tired. Well, give me a minute. I'm paying for $15,000 for you to go to school. I don't have time for you to tell me, give me a minute.
And here's the thing: what works for your house works for your house. But I learned this from him too. I don't do the yelling no more.
I'm trying my best.
And here's the thing, and it scares them because they can know that I should be going off right now, and I'm just like, no, you're not gonna use it no more, and we're not doing that like that. I'm going back in your room and sit down.
Okay, so I have tried.
And they're like,
that.
now wait a minute, what just happened here?
Right. So I have tried that. I'm like, and we let it slide for a while.
Yeah.
And you upstairs playing PlayStation or whatever. Can you come do that? Okay, can you give me a minute? I need 30 seconds. I need 5 minutes. So I get that and I understand that. But we have to communicate. You know, when I ask you to do something, I expect for it to be done. Just like when you ask me to do something, you expect for it to be done. Mom, I need you to take me to so-and-so house. Mom, can you pick so-and-so up? Mom, I need to do this.
You are absolutely
it's a balance.
right.
It's a balance. And just like I have to have a work-life balance, you need to have a school-life balance.
Absolutely. But here's the thing: we have to pray about. I got to close this. We got to pray about, because I think what he said, Elder Floyd said, was right. It's all spiritual warfare.
Absolutely.
We have to pray about how to do things in our home. And so I don't go through.
Or it's just anger issues.
What sticks with them? Like now Justin is driving, so he likes the car. So yeah, I'm sorry. Bus, Jack. We ain't no discussion no more. That's the first thing. You know, Jaden does all this stuff. Oh, he's not gonna make that tournament.
Okay, but tell me, Pastor, because we do that too. But then we get a nagging, and every day it's like, well, you said what you said. Yeah, but you did this.
Yeah, I stopped going back and forth. I said what I say, and I'm done with that. You ain't doing this. We ain't going there. You ain't having this. And you go in there and do what you do, but you'll be all right. Because I had to elevate my way of parenting and discipline. Because we were doing the same thing. Wash dishes. And I got that wore me out. Like Tyler said something. He said, you know, life beating them up. Life beating me up too. There you go. So, and here's what I said. We all should be able to come home and this be our peace castle. And not we get here and combating with one another. We don't want that. I know you've been out there and it's been tough. I've been out there and it's been tough. Let's come in here and be there for one another, and not you don't get home to 7 o'clock. We ain't got but 4 hours together, and we got to spend the 4 going talking about dishes and this and homework, and you be quiet and why you didn't put that up and why you didn't add in the clothes. That's too much. I don't want that. So we had to change certain dynamics, and we're still working through it. But I promise you, I was a yeller. I'm not doing that no more. I ain't got too old for that. I got too much going on. I ain't got time to be yelling at you. I don't. So I just find certain things. Boom. We're gonna cut that. We're gonna stop that. We ain't doing that. And so you work your job. I don't care if you Uber every dollar of it. You ain't touching this vehicle because you're going to have to learn. And you find what works in your house. No cookie cutter thing. Every house is different. Find what works in your house. But here's the thing. Here's what I told London. We're not going to let our kids stress us. Because we found ourselves under stress. And we just couldn't do that. I got enough things going on outside. I'm not coming home to that. I'm not. This is my place of peace. This is why, this sanctuary. This is why I chill out. This is it. We're safety here for everybody, not just for them, for me too. And so you find out what works and you keep working it. Keep working it. Get a therapist. Talk with some prayer leaders. Do what you got to do. Talk with the elders. But it's work. It's work. It's work. It's work. It's work. Okay, so this young lady was the last one. Yeah. Okay, come on, Brother Keith. We got 0 minutes. Go ahead.
Like we were talking about the communication between parents and kids, I think that there's a big barrier between that. A lot of times with the kids, they feel like coming to the parents is a big thing and they're scared to tell how we feel and what we're going through. And a lot of that has to do with the communication just normal communication within the house. So the kid feels like, oh, if I say this to my parent, I don't know how they're gonna take it. So I'd rather just shut my mouth and keep on going throughout my day. So when that does come in, you guys want to be involved and like, hey, what's going on? A lot of times the kid's not comfortable because when they were ready, you weren't ready. But a lot of times I think it's that both sides need to come to some sort of an agreement when talking. Just to sit down at the table, common tone. You bring your things to the table, your parent brings your things to the table, and you guys discuss how can we go about things.
Absolutely.
And it has to be constantly worked at. And I think a lot of times we'll work at it, but then stop and go back to what we know.
I like
You got
that.
to set a time for that because you said when you're ready, I'm not ready, vice versa. We both don't get to not be ready,
Right.
and just keep this thing going.
Right.
But if we set a time to talk, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Mhm.
Like I know I asked Justin, why don't you tell me certain things? I know what you're gonna say. I'm like, but it's a safe place here. Like I'm for you. I'm Team Justin. I'm Team Jaden. We're gonna help you. We're gonna whatever. But sometimes you still don't understand that, and just got to keep working at it. But I think if families just start with the 15th of the month as a time to sit and talk, that's good for everybody, and not I ain't ready to talk right now, and I ain't ready today. Because sometimes us not being ready is just to counteract that you weren't ready last time.
Yeah.
It's just pettiness. Like I ain't ready to talk because you weren't ready to talk yesterday, and it gets out of hand. But I think here's the thing. I think we all desire, like you said, the same thing. We all want to watch the movie.
Right.
We just got different perspectives and how we want to watch it. We had to catch ourselves because me and London was talking and just going, yeah, and I said, yeah, no, not arguing, but just going back. And she said, wait a minute, we saying the same thing. I'm like, we sure is. We saying the same thing. Sometimes we're so bent on getting our thing out there, we don't realize we all want the same thing.
Absolutely.
Parents want to love their children, understand them. Children want to love and understand their parents. But we got to get this thing in the middle, which is the enemy, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. It is against principalities and spiritual wickedness in high places that's designed to keep your family from functioning the way it was intended to function. Thank you, sir. Last two. Come on, Elder.
Well, I'd like to say that God said in his word to put him first in everything that you
Mhm.
do. Everything. Okay. So we know that none of us is perfect. None of us. And so therefore, when we put God first in every situation, because you got to know one thing, he is the antidote. He is the solution to whatever we're facing. He is the wisdom God. They give all the PAs and doctors and nurses the wisdom and knowledge that you sit on this platform and all of us that we watch. But it still comes back to him. It comes back to him. And so when he say parents don't provoke your children, sometimes us parents, we lose it. Not intentionally, but yet we see you traveling down that wrong road. I want to just share this. I'm not going to stand here long. I came up home and
Listen, y'all, we talking about black parents, okay? Rome was not built in a day, y'all. I'm sorry. Rome was not built in a day. Did you really think that after that she went viral, that they were gonna come on here and just be new? Girl, this is generation. Like this to really rebuild this area within the black community. It's gonna take some years, and it's gonna take some work. So it's not gonna take one viral moment or one viral video. I'm sorry, I don't know why y'all came here expecting that. That's crazy. No, this gonna take some years. It's just gonna take some time. Like even the pastor is doing. I guess he doing a little bit better than the rest of them. You know what I mean? Like he making baby steps. You know, but it's baby steps. You know what I mean? So it's just gonna take some time. Somebody said the pastor thought he gave what he needed to be gave. He did. No, he ain't. I'm like, the pastor ain't all the way there yet for me. But you know what? We starting with the fact that he is encouraging them not to yell, y'all. He is encouraging them not to raise their voices. That is a start. I mean, we can all start with that. We can all start there. You know what I mean? So so this is day one, and we're at this stage where let's not yell. But we got a long way to go. Okay. That's where we at. That's where my mind is at. Like y'all thought, yeah, we just gonna sit down, have a discussion, and then that's no. I wish. Oh my God, black people, we can't even eat on time when it comes to Thanksgiving. And you really thought it was gonna take one session? No. Okay, let me see. Let me see what she has to say.
In my home with 8 brothers, and I had 3 sons. 2 of my sons is dead today. 2 of them dead. They to the streets. The oldest got killed in Detroit. He was 26 years old. I hear what the parents are saying from their heart. You don't want that for your sons. You don't want that for your daughters. Because there's a world out there that who you hanging with. If they had the answers, why they in the situation that they in? You got to look at that too. It's not that we judging nobody. Crave Nation, I love you guys. Y'all rock. I'm serious. When she stood up and talked, I had to run to my granddaughter and show her you. Listen, because you were speaking from a level that God used you. He spoke through you. But in the same token that we sitting here today, it still brings peace in our home. This is the safe place. God dwells in the house. He's the head over all things. So whatever you going through, whatever you thinking, put him. So, well, Father God, my mother don't understand me. My brother don't understand me. My mother and father, they coming at me like this, da, 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 da. Will you bring it to God and be sincere and pray as a family? Because Satan's there.
Absolutely.
He's coming in to deceive you. He's setting you up. So what he do is get you to hold on to the attitudes. Because it enters as a little child when you talk about trauma. We were talking about trauma last week.
Yeah.
That's how he entered. I can stand here and talk to y'all on different levels. I may be a senior, but a senior had to go through something to be able to stand here and tell you something. So it's not about it's not about the fact that that's the past or that's the old way. God said, I'm the past, present, and future. But in order to get to your future, you ain't went through nothing. But you got to let God guide you. I mean, seriously, y'all really is blessed. Yeah. Have you saw the kids over in Africa? How they don't have what you got? But we complain. When you complain, you remain the same. You're not coming out of that because God don't like for us to complain. No, your parents ain't perfect and y'all not perfect either, none of us. Let's keep it real. We're talking here tonight. Let's keep it real. You know, I mean, seriously, because we see something that y'all don't see. Some girls can act like they're your friend, setting you up. They lying on you, setting you up because they jealous and they don't even have to know you. You can enter the room and they'll be mad with you. I don't like her. Why? You don't know me. I just don't like you. Why? Because of the anointing upon your life that God has put on you. Because you got praying parents and people that's on their knees praying for you all. Satan's setting you up because he's out there waiting on you. It's all type of drugs, and I'm talking about from experience. This lady here standing there, I've been on them drugs. I can sit here, I can stand here and talk to y'all on each level. I can talk about marriage. I can talk about fornicating. I can talk about shooting drugs. I can talk about marriage. I was married for 11 years. I can hit it on each level. All that stuff in me, but I was sitting here hearing it, and then God was just on me. I couldn't hold it no more. We're not perfect, but we are family. Yeah. And it takes a village to raise you. Put yourself like this, then I'm done with it. You're going to become a mother, and you're going to become a father. You say no because my kids said no too, and I said no too. But when you become that, you're going to know what your parents was talking about because you want to protect those kids, and you love them so much. Yeah. My father used to say, street parents. Huh? Street parents. Yeah, that's who's out there. That's who out there. They're waiting on you. And Satan come in all types of disguise. He know your weak spot. He know what you like and what you don't like, and he's going to send what you like. But he's going to get in your head because he talks. But it's up to you if you yield to him. What do the Bible say he comes to do? He comes to steal your mind. He comes to steal. He wants you to have attitudes with your parents. For what? For what? Come on, elder. I'm not trying to, listen, hear my heart here tonight. We're here tonight because God wants us to come together. You helping other kids that need this. Some of them have lost their mind because they got out there on.
I think I'm good, y'all. Are y'all good? Because y'all, this remind me of my childhood too, where you would try to express yourself and then like somehow the conversation ended in a lecture, and then your parents started preaching, and then they started lecturing you, and then like you never, it was almost like how you felt or how you express yourself, it wasn't even considered or processed. Like about y'all, I'm triggered right now because I'm like, we get so far off topic, and she done turned this into her life story, and that's exactly how it was in my childhood. And I'd be like, dang, we didn't get nowhere. We back at square one. And that's why I stopped going to my parents, trying to express myself, and I started getting smarter. I started shutting down, internalizing things. I just stopped expressing myself altogether because I'm like, it gonna end up in a lecture and a prayer, and somehow, and my dad was one of those. He was one of those riddle people. Well, where he would give you a lecture and it was a riddle, and he would just riddle this or riddle that, and you just be like, see, I could be in my room right now, like watching TV or doing something that I want to do. I done put myself in this situation trying to express how I feel. And now I got to decode this riddle during this lecture that's about to last 2 hours. It used to be like that. And that's exactly what I'm like. Yeah, so I'm good, y'all. If you're good, I'm good. So on that note, I think for the first session, when it comes to Black parents and parenting, I guess we got as far as parents are gonna stop yelling. That's a good start. It is a good start. I do feel like we could get further than this, but it's a good start. So on that note, you guys, I am going to end this live. Please share this because this conversation was very draining. Sometimes I feel like we was talking in circles, points were being missed again. But yeah, so please give this video a thumbs up, share it. Help those that may be dealing with trauma within their childhood or maybe not understanding maybe some of the things that they experienced in their childhood was traumatizing, because this live is definitely being created so that you can heal, so that you can self-reflect within your own life about some of the things that you have gone through, some of the things that you have experienced, so that you can heal and move forward, because you deserve to be happy. You deserve to live at peace. And your children also, if you do choose to have them or if you already have them, they deserve to have a fair shot. You know what I mean? Meaning, like, the cycle, you can break it and it starts with you. You know what I mean? So on that note, you guys enjoy the rest of your night. I will be doing my lip gloss video tomorrow. I hope to see you tomorrow. Okay? Because I'm doing the lip gloss video. I've already done the research and things like that. So hopefully I'll see you guys back here tomorrow. Okay? Good night. Y'all have a nice night.